Clips.
And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. One, two. Alrighty, boob tubes. Welcome to your daily fix of politics.
Clips.
So good, you need to hear it twice. So I'm going to try my best, wearing as I can between 9 and 11 o'clock. Stick a wee summary of the shit that's going on, all the tits, the people who put tits in PoliTITS. So we'll be shift to that, and by all accounts, Humza Yousaf is going to resign today. So we'll go and do a wee roundup, the top of our news from all these outlets. What's that? 57. So we'll be getting the top of it out. I even done deep research, i.e. I googled it and didn't go off the first page, search result page, and live at 12, beautiful, we'll get that within an hour. So stay tuned for that.
On independence, constitutional issues, social issues.
Who's this wee fucking leprechaun hobbit looking bastard?
We're seeing
Yeah,
far
nice
more
jacket.
division in politics.
Sure.
Even the idea of constructive politics, where people come together to get the best policies, best
What's
outcomes,
best?
that's not been happening in Scotland because of the division. We need to get to a place where
James, I'm going to, apologies, have to just interrupt you there. We're a little tight on time. Lots of politics
Shut up,
I'm sure
Hobbit.
you'll appreciate to get throughout the course of the morning as well. So thank
Tommy
you.
Robinson wants his jacket back.
Thank you.
This week being billed as one of the toughest for the Prime Minister. Local elections due on Thursday. The Conservatives expected to suffer heavy losses. But could they be tough for Labour too? 10 high-profile Metro mayors are also being elected.
Now,
And there's a by-election in Blackpool South.
okay, right. Now, I also wanted to start with a wee bit of a blast from the past, a wee bit of historical Scottish comedy, which might give people that are not from this neck of the wood a wee insight into the central belt's sense of humour, especially the West Coast. We will follow Rangers up the falls, there is walls, we will follow
Charlton
them.
Athletic and Nottingham Forest, that'll be a home win, I think. Liverpool, come in. Liverpool and Rochdale, that's a draw. What is it, Sammy?
That youngster.
Couldn't get away with cracking jokes about this anymore.
Do you know? He is that quick, he makes Kenny Dalglish look like King Kong. Anyway, I've got him outside, so I'll bring him in. I mean, he's off a good 7 goals. What's it? 7 goals in the first half.
7 goals in the first half. Get the boy in right away. We'll sign him up without any bother. Get him in here, Sammy. Oh, hello, how are you? Nice to meet you, son. Just you sit down there. Nice to have you with us there. Well, Sammy's told me all about you, so I think we can dispense with the usual formality. I've made out a 5-year contract here for you. If you'd just like to sign it there, and there, that'll be you.
Fantastic.
Sammy tells me you scored 7 goals in the first half on Saturday.
Aye. Too bad I missed the second.
Too bad. What happened? Were you injured?
No, to go to mass.
This was, I haven't dated it right, but it's got to be early to mid 80s, right? Easy peasy. That Fisher guy is went on to go and do Rabsy Nisbet and all that jazz. And like, we shouldn't forget about this, man. It's fucking, well, number one, it's fucking hilarious, and number two, it's our history, my history, Scotland's history. I mean, some people won't get why that's so fucking funny.
Aye. Well, I couldn't miss it. Knowing my brother being the cardinal. I signed it there. And there.
Thank you very much. Aye, Sammy, how long have you been a scout for Rangers?
Oh, just the 2 days, boss, aye. What a first signing, eh?
I must be honest. I didn't think Rangers signed Catholics.
Oh, did you know? Did you know?
Black and white now, eh? Legal contract.
No blacks,
You signed
no
it?
Irish.
Aye.
Well, of course, this contract could be void, you know, if we discover, for example, that you have a bad disciplinary record.
Ah, you're in luck.
Huh?
Never been sent off in my life.
Never been sent off. Have you been booked?
No.
No. You ever been nearly booked? You ever fouled anybody? Fouled?
No.
No. You ever felt it fouling anybody?
Oh, no, this boy has perfect discipline, on and off the field.
Sammy,
Yes, boss.
shut up. Well, of course, you must understand something, son. You see that although I have given you a 5-year contract, it might just be a wee while before we can let you play for the first team.
How long?
About 6 years.
No, no.
That maybe, what
No, but it's worth it.
is it? Aye.
For the pride of being able to tell the whole world
It's
that
going to tell the whole world.
I, Brendan O'Malley,
Brendan O'Malley.
son of a poor Catholic family, signed for the great Glasgow Rangers.
Aye. Of course, now that depends on your fitness, son. Are you fit?
Never missed a game in my life.
Never missed a game again. No. Have you ever had measles?
Sorry.
Measles? Did you have measles when you were a child?
No.
No, even a wee kind of flush somewhere, a rash. Or did you ever pick your nose? Maybe a fluke. Have you ever had a fluke? Aye, he's had a fluke. He's had a fluke.
I never took flukes, no.
You never
Oh,
fluked?
take it from me, but this boy is super fit, boss.
Sammy,
Yes, boss.
shut up. Well, it only remains for me to welcome you to the club, Brendan. I'm sure you're going to pass your medical with flying colours, you know. So, would you like a wee cigar to celebrate? How a wee cigar?
No.
Oh, come on, a wee cigar will hurt you. Go on, it's all right, I don't mind. Go on, just a wad, eh? Just a wad. Sammy, take this boy down for his medical, would you? And just make sure that there are no physical defects of any kind, especially about the horns.
Especially about the horns. See, Jim White wouldn't speak like that. He's a Glaswegian that doesn't speak like he's from Glasgow anymore. He now sounds like a constant advert for furniture. This shit used to be like fucking bread and butter for New Year's and Christmas and all that, man.
God, Brendan O'Malley.
Oh, here. Hope that wee accident doesn't affect his medical, boss.
I hope no, Sammy, I hope no.
Wait a minute, boss. I've got another fellow outside. He's fantastic as well.
Okay.
I went to see him at the weekend. Hat trick in the first 5 minutes.
Oh, and what is he, a one-legged rabbi?
Listen to this, man. There's no way you can get away with fucking cracking jokes about this shit anymore. This is the BBC. This is BBC. Well, BBC Scotland. This is the BBC, right enough. This is fucking immense. I love this, man.
Zulu.
Got another fellow outside. He's fantastic as well.
Okay.
I went to see him at the weekend. Hat trick in the first 5 minutes.
Oh, and what is he, a one-legged rabbi? A Zulu warrior, a Spanish hermaphrodite. I'm warning you, Sammy, if he doesn't come up to the image of this club, you are looking for your cards and no messing.
No, he's okay, boss. He's okay, honestly. Wait now and I'll bring him in like you see him.
Aye, all right. What could be worse than a Catholic?
Yeah, just like...
What could be worse than a Catholic?
Come in here.
Tally ho, what have Bobby
Oh, what?
Sammy,
Yes, boss.
just pick up your cards and you're way out.
Anyway, I just wanted to share a wee bit of Glaswegian comical history, man. Fucking brilliant. Fucking brilliant. Now, let's have a wee shifty at the news.
In a crowded space, there's big humanitarian concern when it comes to Israel's plans, and Antony Blinken has said he's not seen a plan from Israel on Rafah that protects. Hello, I'm Azadeh Mashiri. Welcome to the programme. The Scottish First Minister, Humza Yousaf, is to announce shortly that he'll resign from office, the BBC understands. It follows the collapse of his power-sharing agreement with the Scottish Green Party. He had been facing 2 confidence votes, but has lost all political backing. Now, this is a shot of Bute House, the official residence of the First Minister. Mr Yousaf will make his statement there in just under an hour. Well, let's talk to our political correspondent in Edinburgh, Lindsay Bewes. Lindsay, good to have you. So what is the latest you're hearing on these resignation rumours?
Well, the rumours are that he's going to resign. That's the fucking announcement at 12 bells. Why do these people need to keep up with protect? Why can they not just... Well, it's padding, isn't it? They need to spin this shite out.
A press conference here at Bute House last Thursday, to announce the end of his power-sharing deal with the Scottish Greens. They had been junior partners in government with the SNP following the 2021 election. Humza Yousaf announced that was coming to an end, and that was really where the trouble for him all started. He then was facing a vote of no confidence brought forward by the Scottish Conservatives, and the Greens, who had been stunned by the abrupt end to which the power-sharing deal was brought, said that they would be voting against Mr Yousaf in that vote of no confidence at Holyrood, due to take place later this week. That left Humza Yousaf looking for support from elsewhere, either trying to change the Greens' minds or talking to Ash Regan, the sole Alba MSP in the Scottish Parliament. A deal with her party was seen as unpalatable, so we were told that this morning Humza Yousaf was considering whether or not to take the chance of staring down, if you like, the Greens and Alba and daring them to vote against him as a pro-independence First Minister, or jumping before he was pushed. And
I nailed it earlier, man. Jumping before he's pushed. That's what's going. That's the meme, man.
Now, Lindsay, you mentioned the confidence vote there. The BBC understands that's played a big role in his decision to resign, as he's expected to do around noon. Could you tell us more about some of those challenges?
Stay tuned to the end, and I'll share another little gem.
Yeah, the challenges really started mounting up on Thursday last week when that vote of no confidence was announced by the Scottish Conservatives, and it started to become clear that Humza Yousaf was not going to have the support of the Scottish Greens. They were not going to abstain in that vote to allow him to survive. They were going to vote against him. Now, the parliamentary arithmetic was stacking up in a way that meant that Humza Yousaf was going to be reliant on perhaps striking some sort of deal for the support of Ash Regan, the Alba MSP in the Scottish Parliament. He did not want to go down that route.
Is that guy in the background? Is that a big massive... Is he Santa Claus with a big jolly belly?
Letters to Holyrood's party leaders at the end of last week, calling for them to come and talk to him. Now, that was a non-starter when it came to the leaders of the Unionist Party.
He looks like me in the gym trying to slacken off my back, you know, like sitting doing hula hoops and like pure...
The SNP out of government,
as if you're at the glory wall or the wailing wall.
Whom this end of the power-sharing deal is a deeply personal issue, said they didn't have any trust left in Mr Yousaf, so they want him to go. And then that deal with Alba, well, that was seen as a non-starter for the Scottish Government advisor to Humza Yousaf.
I'm distracted with the guy in the background.
Go ahead. So then he was left with considering his position this morning, and we understand that he is now going to resign at 12 o'clock.
All right, Lindsay Bewes, thank you for that. We will have more updates as they come through. And of course, there is a live page on our BBC News website and app if you want some more analysis, as well as the latest that we're hearing on this expected resignation.
What is there left to say other than at 12 bells he's going to do a statement and say he's resigns, which isn't really news because everybody knows that he's going to step up at 12 and say that he resigns.
Live in Riyadh at the World Economic Forum, and he's been talking about his trip. He's there to negotiate a ceasefire ceasefire deal with Arab leaders, Arab counterparts. Hamas is expected to participate, has sent a delegation to Cairo and has spoken positively so far about Israel's proposal. And Antony Blinken has been speaking about some of the expectations that are going into these negotiations. He said that Hamas needs to decide, and it needs to decide quickly. Interestingly, he's also been talking about the expected Rafah offensive, something that Israel's allies have been particularly concerned about, given the fact that there are so many Palestinians sheltering there in a crowded space. There's big humanitarian concern when it comes to Israel's plans. And Antony Blinken has said he's not seen a plan from Israel on Rafah that protects civilians. Let's take a listen to more of what he's been saying.
Solved, it would also take a lot of momentum out of Iran and its proxies. That's right. Some speakers said yesterday. Do you feel that there is progress on the Saudi-Israeli peace? And do you feel that Israel sees the connection between the momentum for Iran and their proxies based on the big impasse that we've faced for decades on the Palestinian issue?
First, I think the single biggest, most effective rebuke to both Iran and Hamas would be Israel having normal relations with every country in this region and the realization of a Palestinian state. Of course, both Hamas and Iran have opposed a two-state solution. So almost by definition, achieving it would be a profound rebuke to everything that they've stood for and destroyed for in over many years. Second, when it comes to normalization, look, I'm not going to speak for our hosts here, except to say that we have done intense work together over the last months. And in fact, well before October 7th, this is what we were focused on. And in fact, I was scheduled to be in the region, to be in Saudi Arabia and in Israel on October 10th, a trip that didn't happen because of October 7th, to focus specifically on the Palestinian piece of any normalization agreement, because that is, as you said, an essential component. I think, look, the work that Saudi Arabia and the United States have been doing together in terms of our own agreements, I think is potentially very close to completion. But then, in order to move forward with normalization, two things will be required: calm in Gaza and a credible pathway to a Palestinian state. So, to the extent we finish our work between us, then I think what's been a hypothetical or a theoretical question suddenly becomes real, and people will have to make decisions.
Secretary, just shortly, you went from China and back to DC for a day or two, and I guess you also seen what is unfolding at many campuses at leading universities in the U.S. as a reaction to what is happening in Gaza. Any reflections on that?
I think what we're seeing in my own country and in the region and many other places reflects the deep emotions, the profound feelings that many people have at the suffering that so many people are enduring, and in particular the innocent children, women and men in Gaza. It's a profound thing, and I not only understand it, I understand why people are speaking out and speaking up. Now,
you remember when you were a student yourself, huh?
Yeah, I do, and I think this is something that from generation to generation, people find things to be galvanized by, and I understand it profoundly. At the same time, I have to say that I would wish that other elements were reflected in what people are saying, what they're doing. I don't hear anything said about Hamas.
Participant in the flotilla, he told us his story with the aid group as well as its goals.
I joined the flotilla from 2010 when it was Mafi Marmara tragedy. At the time, we bring a lot of humanitarian aids to Gaza to break the siege of Gaza. But as you know, in 2010,
Sounds like
Israel
something you would
attacked
get in an
international
American restaurant. I'll
water,
have
and they take our
a
ship
burger
and
and a
cut
freedom
us and
flotilla, please.
go to the jail, and then we cannot deliver our message. And this time, after 6 months, the war, more than 6 months, the war, we won together in Istanbul, and together for the 40 countries, to go to the break siege. And it's very normal, actually, because all of us is humanitarian activists from all over the world. We try to enter the Gaza Strip through Rafah border, but as you know, in Rafah border, we cannot enter as easily. We have to wait 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, until we can deliver our aid. So we try, from all over the world, gather in Istanbul, and then try to go to the Gaza Strip through the sea.
Government crest on, but I don't think so. I think he's doing a press conference inside Butte House, and I mean, maybe he's going to surprise us. Maybe he's going to battle on.
What do you expect him to say? Who will he blame?
Turkey teeth
blame.
and some sort of
the
blonde.
duplicitous greens because he
Bleach
just
blonde
decided that the Scottish people couldn't possibly sign up to. But it was the deal that his predecessor did, Nicola Sturgeon, on net zero.
Yeah, to be honest, whoever he blames will depend on what he wants to do next, won't it? That's what it will. He won't come out and say that the green agenda is all wrong if he wants to go and work for a green lobbying group.
And they'll have a temporary leader while they have a new an election. But you know, this is terrible timing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Right, don't go anywhere. We have got a lot more to come, including what is going to affect the price of beer, bread, and some other yummy things that we all eat. You're not going to like this, but don't go anywhere. Britain's Newsroom, my TV News.
There's been a shite fucking harvest and there isn't as much flour, so the UK needs to import some from Germany. And no doubt it will be blamed on global warming. Now, who's this Poindexter? No doubt he's fucking some sort of business dude for this shitty London.
The Reverend Hayley Ace. She was standing near one of these marches wearing a cap with a Star of David on it. She was on the end of the most foul anti-Semitic abuse and told to go back to Poland. Poland, of course, being where the majority of the Nazi extermination camps were located. So, you know, we are pretty fed up with the gaslighting that we're receiving, not just from the organisers of the marches, but the people who are responsible for controlling them as well.
What do you think of the fact that some Jewish people, not very many of them, but we had one of them on the programme yesterday, because I want to get all perspectives on this. There are some people who are Jewish, very, very small number, who have joined the pro-Palestinian marches calling for a ceasefire in Gaza.
Well, I think anyone...
Well, I think they're the self-hating Jews. They're the retarded Jews, you know. That's the only explanation I can think of.
Who is prepared to join the march and chant the same things that the marchers are chanting, hold up signs similar to the ones that the marchers are holding, will be...
Remember that? These are your free speech warriors. Freedom! Look at the big bad signs! Oh, the big bad signs are anti-Semitic.
welcome. As you say, they are...
This little wee fat fucking leprechaun sitting there with like a fucking... He's squeezing half a shite out face like, this is some really serious political analysis here. Please tell us how people protesting with signs that I disagree with is bad, but I'm for freedom, dumb speech.
Tiny minority of the Jewish community, and they are the same people. And, you know, they were caught on video yesterday, the same people who, during the anti-Semitism crisis in the Labour Party, insisted...
The anti-Semitism crisis in the Labour Party? What would that be? Jeremy Corbyn stating historical facts about the Zionist Party and the Nazis? Uncomfortable truths? And because of the uncomfortable truths that fucking corduroy Corbyn dared to whisper in public. He was ran out of the Labour Party because the Labour Party wasn't pro-fucking Israel enough. And they've stamped it out, and then they got fucking the person that whitewashed the Jimmy Savile shit, Sir Keir Starmer, in to make the Labour Party deep throat the political ideology of Zionism and the state of Israel. Which, by the way, the propaganda wing for the political ideology of Zionism will try and define as anti-Semitic, and will continuously, repetitively repeat it in the hope that they'll outdrown and overshout the people who can think for themselves and call a spade a motherfucking spade without their arsehole twitching about being called X, Y, or Z.
That there was no problem, defended Labour and Jeremy Corbyn in particular to the hill, said people were making false allegations of anti-Semitism for nefarious reasons. And of course they were exposed by the findings of the Equality and Human Rights Commission. They are entitled to do what they want, but, you know, if anyone thinks they are representing...
They were exposed by a committee that was run by extreme interests who found and wanted to expose the shit that they ended up exposing. All's fair and even here, dumb fucks. Line up for your feed.
Representative of the Jewish community, which is
that's me fucking lying, that fat Irish leprechaun.
And the organisers of the marches are trying to push that as well, Stephen. The Jewish community, in some sense anyway, even though it's a small number of people joining these marches, the Jewish community is split on this. Although, you know, they're individual people, they have a right to their own opinion. It's not as if you're a...
You're joking. You're saying Jews have a right to their own opinion? Fuck that, it's well in order. They're all should be signed up, paid up members of the political ideology which brought around the creation of a country, the legal entity of a country of Israel. After World War II, and to point these things out, they trick the people that want to protect this mythology around Zionism, like Zionism equals Judaism, and it don't. And these people are having to face up to the fact that there's Jews that don't support Israel, and these fucking white Christian fucking soldiers are sitting bumping their fucking gums and offering you up Judai mind trick fucking mumbo jumbo bullshit to try and explain it. Other than Israel and Judaism are separate, i.e. criticism of Israel is not anti-Semitic, and that's the only route they've got, and then they need to, that's the only route they've got. That's the trick they play to try and get away, to try and deflect the criticism of the administration in Israel who control the IDF, our army, and their fucking do's and don'ts. Anyway, I am not going to give myself
as a community and have only one opinion. But it must
sorry, Peter. I'm sorry. Can I just come back on that?
Of course.
You said the Jewish community is split on this. It isn't.
You damn bastard. Right, well, that means it's split, you dick. The Jewish community isn't split. There are some Jews, the self-hating retard Jews, who don't agree. But apart from that, we're all on the Zionism bandwagon.
British Jews, literally a handful, who for ideological...
Literally a handful. I could fit them in my big fucking sausage fingers hands. Yes, I could. Yes, I would.
...reasons related to the Israel-Palestine.
Ideological reasons? That would be their religion, mate. See the ideological reasons you're talking about? That would be the ideological reasons that are based in orthodox, not ultra-orthodox, as the fucking the Zionist cunts have to fucking rebrand it. So they're not Jews, they're ultra-orthodox Jews. Does that make them extra bad?
The debate have decided to throw their lot in with those who wish to see the only Jewish state in the world dismantled.
That's the best they've got to muster up. But why all Jews don't support Israel? That's the shite that this balding bastard and this little Irish fucking white fucking Casper the Ghost leprechaun fuck can muster to try and explain why not all Jews fucking are in on what Israel are doing. I've decided to throw thingy in. Yes, it doesn't really make sense, but this is the best I can explain it, because otherwise people might start asking uncomfortable questions.
Do you know what
It's not a split in the Jewish community.
Okay.
It's a fringe.
Yes, there is, you dumb fuck. There's not a split party line, right? This is not independent news. These are, especially the way the landscape is nowadays, this is very politically charged fucking shite.
Group who do not represent the thoughts and feelings of the overwhelming majority of the Jewish community.
Absolutely fair point.
Absolutely fair point. Yeah, mate, take fucking that Israeli fucking circumcised dick out your fucking mouth, man. Look, oh, that was just like, please, fuck me some more.
I mean, you on your social media will get 1,000% more than I get, probably more than that. But there are people on social media. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying this is factual. Some of the stuff yesterday I received was really unbelievable. There was one I'm going to repeat it simply to put to you, and it's not absolutely 100% not what I believe. Fascinating that I was interviewing a Jewish person who was on the march because I wanted to get their perspective, but also the fact that someone first of all conflated in this anti-Semitic tweet all British Jewish people.
Anti-Semitic tweet. So now fucking tweets are anti-Semitic.
With the Israeli government. They're totally separate. And there are many, many Jewish people I know who don't entirely support the Israeli government for lots of reasons, nor should they be held accountable.
Shush! Shush! There's not a split within the Jewish worldwide fucking cabal. There isn't a split. Did you know, just listen to this balding fucking old cunt that's fucking on the fucking script. Did you know, listen to him, fucking Irish leprechaun, man?
For it. And then said, and the point I was making on air yesterday was, what about, you know,
well,
the
hurry up,
innocent civilians,
leprechaun.
both in Gaza and the innocent civilians in Israel. And this person made a point which was horrifying to me and said, there are no innocent Israeli citizens. Unbelievable. That's the tip of the iceberg, Stephen.
Do you know what's unbelievable? Not really. That guy seemed to write, look, the mountain of shite that this guy, this wee leprechaun Irish political motherfucker, pretending to be some sort of an independent talking head journalist. He ain't independent at all. Go and do your due diligence on that little leprechaun fuck. My fucking horror! So all the hundreds and thousands and whatnot, the shite that he gets sent, he just wants to bring up this one. There's no... I'm not even... I'm going to do it. World War I. Monkey propaganda. Right. This mad brute. Right. Look. There is the brown man in the boats coming to get fuck. That's so you need to paint your enemies like that, right? And there's no rocket science or anything behind this. It's very simple psychology that when it's explained to you, you'll go, well, hold on, there is actually a point here. Well, it's the painting of your enemy, or painting somebody's enemy as a dehumanising. That's what it is, dehumanising. You need to dehumanise the other side, right? So, with the Christian Western power blocks trying to demonise the brown man, because look, they're coming over here, they're shagging our woman, and they're raping our children. Destroy these mad brutes, right? I'll get a steak pie. Destroy these mad brutes. Oh yeah. You can't beat having steak pie for breakfast. Anyway, so let's see if we can go to the top of the hour, shit. Or the bottom of the hour, sorry. We're in a commercial break. He's got nice hair. Let's watch her for a bit.
Delays in contracts or contract cancellations. We're also seeing that around consumer spend, as we mentioned, but also...
I am not going to start, because I won't stop, on as everybody's getting less, people at the top are getting more. It's as simple as that, isn't it? High temperatures, global warming, linked to the El Nino weather phenomenon. See, I'm a simpleton, right? Oh, here's some more deadly weather. Oh, fuck, that is deadly weather, look at that. Deadly tornado outbreak. Texas. God's country, that's why there's so many tornadoes and deaths and shit there. Ooh, she's got a bit of fucking forehead out, man. Look at that. Oh, I like this wee shitty London guy. Oh, I've no heard, I've no listened to these dudes in a long time.
We expected
he's got
democracy is on the way around the world, autocrats are on the rise. We're going to hear a lot of that. The problem is that the United States and the European Union have become ideological states, ideological entities. And their control
There's an old
over the
dying,
media
no,
is
he's not an old dying wasp.
one
He's
of
a
the
wee
main
fucking...
characteristics
There's the
of
old dying wasp in the
regime
top right
is
hand
that you
corner,
mix
man.
common morals and politics.
That'd
So
be me
during
when
the
I'm old,
last
man.
3 months, the message that we
Old
had
dying
from the American
Casper the
media,
Ghost looking
Ukraine,
motherfucker.
from the European correspondents, it was Ukrainians are dying, Russia is advancing, and you, Mike Johnson, is to blame for that. You didn't give the money, so you are a bad man. You know, you are personally responsible for something, for everything that happens in Ukraine, everything bad that happens in Ukraine. So there is that mix-up of morals and politics, you know, in the same way in the Soviet Union. If you were against Stalin,
There's no really no news there. It's just a kind of echo chamber for the Ruskies to go over their Ukraine war propaganda.
Kicking off with potentially Humza Yousaf's resignation at 12 o'clock midday, so you won't want to miss that. What will he say? What will he say? Will it be a quick one? Will he take lots of questions? Is this, you know, he's the wokest, most progressive politician in Scotland? Is this a case of, you know, go woke, go broke?
This man, what massively out of his depth.
Well, he fell upwards, didn't he? Failed upwards. He failed upwards.
Over-promoted, perhaps?
Yeah. 1 year and 1 month in the job, and now he's been found out. Potentially, we'll have to wait and see. But look, another big breaker that we're going to have for you is just before 1 p.m. We're expecting a press conference between British and Irish delegates, because there's an almighty row going on over illegal immigration at the moment. They want us to take the migrants back. We're saying no, unless we can maybe send them back to France, which isn't going to happen. We've also got the EU copying the Rwanda plan. And that exclusive from Mark White on migrants, channel migrants using children as human shields. But yeah, just before 1 p.m, we'll take that conference live, so make sure you're locked in for that.
Yes, lots of live events today. We're also going to be discussing Harry and Meghan, their non-royal trip to Nigeria. What's all that about? Is that a snub to the royal family?
Colonial roots, my God, it's like a parody, isn't it?
Well, it is a bit, really, isn't it? I think they're trying to...
I couldn't believe I was reading. I thought, this can't be right, this story.
Well, they're going to have to explain to everyone who they are, aren't they, first? But, there we go. But Hamza as well, just a final one for you as well. They want the Sharia and the Caliphate.
Look at these wee slimy fucks, right? And, like, as normal, endlessly obsessing about and attacking and smearing endlessly Harry and, is it Meghan or whatever her name is? Can you give her a flying fuck? And you wonder why. Because he went after the press for phone hacking and all the scumbag fucking actions that used to use for stories and bribery and corruption and to control the rich and famous. And everybody's sitting there thinking that Harry's the worst thing ever. Oh, he's such a bad man. No, the press are deliberately going after him because he went after the press. Isn't even that fucking hard to figure out? Right, let's see what's happening here.
Over climate and had been due to hold a vote themselves on whether to remain in power with the SNP in response to that. Now, why does this all matter in terms of the Parliament? Well, the SNP has 63 MSPs in the 129-seat Parliament. So if those 7 Green MSPs vote against him, he's reliant on the support of the sole Alba Party MSP, Ash Regan, to continue his role. Now, you'll remember that she used to be an SNP MSP, but she defected to Alex Salmond's Alba Party. So Mr Yousaf reportedly ruled out cutting a deal with Alba. That's the pro-independence party that was formed by the former First Minister Alex Salmond after he broke from the SNP. Now, that would lead to a 64-64 tied vote, in which case in the Parliament, when there is a vote, the presiding officer would be expected to vote to maintain the status quo. So that is the situation as how we've got to it in the last week. As I said, what we're expecting in the next hour is a news conference from Humza Yousaf, who you can see there entering Bute House in the last half an hour. He came in an official car through the back of Bute House. And we are expecting in the next half an hour or so for him to hold a news conference where we understand that he will resign as Scotland's First Minister. There you can see the picture of the Bute House door inside at the moment, Mr Yousaf, with his wife and his senior advisors. And as I say, we are expecting that news conference at around midday. We will, of course, bring it to you live here on
only
BBC
20 minutes to go.
The Labour leader,
21 minutes to go.
has been talking about the situation in the Scottish Parliament. He condemned it and called for a fresh start.
21 minutes to
he
go.
has been speaking to reporters a few minutes ago. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
I despair at the situation in Scotland. It's absolute chaos now from the Scottish Parliament.
Gears on gear! Gears on gear! He can't breathe through his nose because that is full of gear.
Fundamentally let down. 1 in 7 are on waiting lists. There's a
Look, we were getting off top as our Prime Minister. A melted welly boot fucking hoity-toity tough motherfucker in charge of the Workers' Party, Zeke Howe, and he can't speak through, he can't breathe through his nose because he's so full of fucking, he's too posh to breathe through his nose, or he's just a full of fucking cocaine. Or it's the plastic surgery that he clearly had. His face is melted.
Resign, then the Scottish Parliament has 28 days to choose a new First Minister. It will be up to the members of the Scottish Parliament, the MSPs,
I don't think it's the
to nominate
whites,
a candidate to replace Humza Yousaf. Now, by convention,
the Catholics.
That will be the leader of the party with the most representation in Parliament, which, of course, is currently the Scottish National Party.
Athletic and Nottingham Forest. That'll be a home win, I think. Liverpool, come in. Liverpool and Rochdale, that's a draw. What is it, Sammy?
That youngster I was telling you about, boss, I've got him outside. Do you know? He is that quick, he makes Kenny Dalglish look like King Kong. Anyway, I've got him outside, so I'll bring him in. I mean, he's off a good 7 goals. What's it, 7 goals in the first half.
7
Rangers
goals in the
sign
first
a
half.
Catholic,
Get
you
the
say?
boy in right away. We'll sign him up without any bother. Get him in here, Sammy. Oh, hello, how are you? Nice to meet you,
Pleased to
Sam.
meet you,
Just
aye.
to sit down there. Nice to have you with us there. Well, Sammy's told me all about you, so I think we can dispense with the usual formality.
Right, we'll maybe go back to that later on. Oh, here, by the way, Unicorn, that's a really good point, in the sense that, and please bounce into the chat and tell me other ones that I know I'm missing. Right, so we'll get Sunak unelected. We've got Yousaf unelected. I'm trying to think of what's happening in Ireland, but it's so fucking complicated and fucked up, it's very hard to pinpoint it. But I can't remember the last time they had a kind of leader that was elected, you know. Fucking hell, man. In America, you've got Biden, who was illegally elected.
Seen widely as experience.
Crazy days. 20% of the country's worlds. 20% of the country's worlds. 20% of the world's countries, even, are going to the polling booth this year. Or going to the polling booth this year. And it's over half the world's population is voting. And the list goes on and on and on. Pakistan's done it, America's doing it, UK's doing it, France is doing it, Netherlands has done it, Sweden's recently done it, Portugal's recently done it. The list goes on and on and on and on. It's very telling the chaotic world that we're now staying in. It's the wig guy. Oh my god, mate, at least if you're going to get a wig, make it look the same 2 days in a fucking row, man. Your wig, he must wear a wig. I think he's got a different wig for every day of the week. I can't. He could be telling me a nuclear bomb is going to land in my back door in 5 minutes' time, and I'd be too busy thinking about his wig. I'm not even joking.
Elections for mayors, and indeed there are police and
Come on,
crime
mate.
commissioner
I hope he's more
both in England
surely
and
your
Wales.
more
They
at
are
least will
just
go
days
here.
away on Thursday. Also, of course, the speculation
Just go
continues about
bald
when Rishi
instead of
Sunak
wearing
might
a
name the date
ridiculous,
for a general election.
clear
So a lot to talk about.
fucking
Let's
wig.
talk about the local elections, because over the past few days
Although I'm
we've
trying
been
to
looking at
picture
different
him.
areas of England, and I am joined now by Peter Henley, who is our South of England political editor, and also by Amy Holmes, who is political reporter at BBC Three Counties Radio, which covers Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire and
No, it's a guy.
Amy,
I
wondered
couldn't
if I
fucking
could
tell if that
start
was a
with
guy
you,
or I thought it
and
was a woman.
What are the parties concentrating on in Bed's hearts and bucks to try and win over the voters there?
Well, Nikki, I've been lucky enough to speak to the 4 main parties during the local election campaign. Conservative Party Chair Richard Holden seemed to be pushing more towards highlighting
what you
his
would
police
call
and crime
back in the
commissioners have
day
been doing
as a
in the
puffy
last 3
gentleman.
years in our patch rather than the local elections. You can sort of understand that. This year, the Tories are only defending one council.
He definitely
in
spends
Bed's
more
Bucks,
on
whereas obviously they
shampoo
have
and
the
conditioner
3
than I do.
police and crime
That's all I'm
commissioners
saying.
already. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer was also more on the police and crime commissioner side of things, stating to me in an interview a couple of weeks ago that they'd focus on antisocial behaviour if their candidates were lucky enough to win that particular role on Thursday. He also looked at first-time buyers. The Lib Dems launched their local election campaign in our patch in Harpenden, and Burkham said that's partly because the party has done very well in our local elections. Last year, they picked up 4 councils up for grabs, and this year as well, I think, with the Lib Dems, a new seat.
I swear to God, I thought it was a manly woman. I'm not even joking. I genuinely thought it was a manly woman, and then I was like, no, hold on, that's a fucking dude.
Councillors who have done reasonable jobs over the last couple of years. And
I mean, at least they are fucking man bun and make a wee bit of a fucking Viking effort at it instead of just going full blown fucking. Look at my big gay flowing locks.
For local people in your area, what are they talking about? Is it housing, rent, the things that the local authorities can look at?
And he's making this bald guy, he's making this fucking hairpiece wearing motherfucker jealous. You know, where's the happy medium when some cunt with just some normal hair here on the BBC? They've got two extremes.
Certainly in 2020,
they've got some cunt can't tell if it's a man or a woman wig
90 council seats here. But
and then let's laugh at this guy's obvious toupee here.
Concentration as well on what those local personalities, those councillors are doing. And they may not be councillors from even the established parties, but just ones that have been doing a really, really good job focusing on those local issues you mentioned. So I think for us, it's sort of...
And no offence, Shirley, I'm going to call him Shirley. Shirley, surely you can't be serious with your 1980s call centre fucking mouthpiece, man. What's that all about? Oh, hold on. Breaking news. We've got a woman telling us something that she already told us fucking 20 minutes ago, but now, this time, it's fucking... Oh, is this the woman at the side of her mouth? It is. She's booked out the side of her mouth. I'm warning you.
There seems to be, for local services, there are individual projects that are being cut. And even Conservative councillors who blame that on central government.
Get that cunt in the target.
That's
that guy.
Money to keep up the services that they'd like to. Plus, of course, costs increasing as it is for everybody, and a huge demand on adult and children's social care services. The cost of that has gone up tremendously. But it is different in different places, you know. Labour can do quite well in my part of the south of England, where there are newer families moving into new housing that's been built, places like Worthing, where they've taken control of the council in Sussex. The same seems to be happening in Aldershot and Farnborough, where new housing's being built, but not necessarily the services there.
Oh, it's the weasel guy. Look at this.
We are expecting a news conference by the Scottish First Minister Humza Yousaf. Let's show you the live
that's the funniest fucking wig I've seen in my life.
We are expecting Mr. Yousaf to announce
I'll be honest,
that he is stepping down as First
I'm sitting
Minister.
here in my living room watching him on the BBC and like cracking jokes, right? If he was in a pub, etc.,
Alexander, what
I wouldn't go up to him and go, here mate, I can clearly tell that you've got a wig on your head.
Into Butte House.
I wouldn't do that.
What is the latest I'm leaving on what is going to happen?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm going to speak out the left side of my mouth.
This is Butte House, as you see, and it's the official residence of the First Minister in Scotland.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure people that have had strokes still have a sense of humour. I'm pretty sure if you have a stroke, it doesn't take away your sense of humour.
Members of the public gathered here, a lot of interest in what's happening here at Butte House in Edinburgh. Now, everyone is gathering for what's expected to be a press conference around 12 noon, and it is expected that Humza Yousaf will announce his resignation as First Minister here at Butte House around 12 o'clock. And as you said, we saw him come down from Dundee, from his family home slightly earlier, to arrive at Butte House with his wife. They did go in the back door here in preparation for what we expect to be that major announcement. Humza Yousaf has just been First Minister of Scotland for just over a year now, and this has all unravelled quite quickly since Thursday, but then over the weekend, on Saturday even, Humza Yousaf said that he was confident that he could win that vote of no confidence. So even as recently as Saturday, it did look like that he would keep going and go ahead with the 2 votes of no confidence. And then yesterday things began to change, and there was an understanding that he was considering his position, considering his options, and that resignation was one of those options. And this morning, we've been here for several hours now, and this morning that expectation was growing that he would resign as early as today, and that's likely to happen in a short time.
If he does resign, Alexandra, what is the next stages? How does it work going forward?
Okay, well,
I'm pretty sure if he resigns,
quickly,
I'm pretty sure he won't get. In fact, I'm going to check the bookies right now.
Who might take over? Parliament would have 28 days to vote for a new First Minister, or there would be an early election. And Kate Forbes is one of the names in the frame. I'm not sure if you remember.
You won't get anything on him fucking staying in office.
Just last year, and up till now she has insisted that she is backing the First Minister. John Swinney also has been another name that has been mentioned. The Education Secretary, Jenny Gilruth, the Culture Secretary, Angus Robertson, Health Secretary, Neil Gray. So these names already in the frame, and this discussion has already moved on as to who might be next. But we are still waiting for that announcement by the First Minister.
And if we, as we assume, he does resign, and we then have a new SNP leader, they are going to have to work with the other parties at Holyrood because they don't have a majority of seats.
Yes, that's right. There had been the agreement with the Scottish Green Party. That agreement came to an end quite abruptly on Thursday. So since then it has been a minority government. So they would look for support on a case-by-case basis. Now, the Green Party, Scottish Green Party, they have said that they were very much against the First Minister. They wanted the First Minister to stand down, and not necessarily against the SNP. They have lots in common with the SNP, including being a pro-independence party. So they may work with the SNP on a case-by-case basis to give them support, and particularly if it was John Swinney, who has been leader of the party before. He is being urged to stand this time. He didn't stand last time, but we understand he may be thinking about it this time. In terms of Kate Forbes, they're possibly less likely to support
6 more minutes to go.
Forbes. They don't agree with some of her issues. So there possibly is a way forward, but this is currently a minority government, and that's how the Scottish Parliament was designed in terms of the voting process, so that it would work on a minority government basis.
Do you hear that, folks? The Scottish government was designed to be run by a minority, and we're presented democracy scam as rule by majority. I mean, I don't even want to go into the numbers because I've broken them down and proved that fucking they only need to buy a certain amount of house niggers and they've got the country. And let's get back to this guy and his wig.
Possible new SNP leader, and we mentioned his name.
Well,
John Swinney.
Tell, man. Wow.
Nick, about Mr. Swinney in particular.
I think he's a decent prospect, Nick. He's certainly been urged by some senior people in the SNP to throw his hat in the ring. You might remember that he was urged to do the same thing last year when Nicola Sturgeon stood down and did it. He said he had personal commitments.
You just want to cough.
I think it's slightly different this time. Actually, speaking to some of his allies, they sound a bit more confident that he could be persuaded this time. He's at an event in Westminster this morning, of all places, and he was asked at that event whether he would rule out standing. He didn't. It'll be interesting to see what he says once we've had this announcement from Humza Yousaf that he is quitting. Kate Forbes, as Alexandra mentioned a few minutes ago there, I think she's weighing it up this lunchtime. Nobody will say anything until Humza Yousaf's made his announcement, but I think there's a decent prospect of her standing if she can find a way to get the support of another party to stay in power. I don't think the Westminster leader, Stephen Flynn, will stand. There was some speculation that he might fancy doing it this time. I don't think that's the case. Too hard to do that job when you're in Westminster. And then you're looking at a few other potential candidates from the group of MSPs.
Does anybody know? I'm being serious, right?
Yousaf, because it's only
I
just
don't
over
obsess
a year ago
over politics as much as I
Minister.
used to, right? But I still like to think I keep my ear in to a certain degree. I couldn't name you another member of the SNP. The big baldy cunt that's in Westminster, right? He seems to be do a good job when he steps up to the plate in Westminster at PMQs. And that wee angry dyke one. Hey, I just had a pizza and fucking chips on my fucking lunch, man. I'm gonna fucking go take down the Westminster, I'm SNP. But I think she had to leave because she get caught fucking being a normal cunt and maybe getting caught with her dick in a few pies.
So that was all going on in the background.
Mate, fucking cough!
Senior people in the SNP over the past 24 hours or so, they also acknowledged that Humza Yousaf hasn't done himself any favours, and the biggest mistake potentially was that decision he made on Thursday.
Well, that's just he's about to make press conference.
Power sharing agreement. Now, the argument doesn't go that he was wrong to get rid of them. There are a lot of people in the SNP who thought that was a long time coming.
I'm starting to obsess about his fucking Flemish throat, and I'm not talking about the fucking Belgians.
He did. It's interesting because there is no doubt that that announcement...
There's no doubt you need to cough, my man. Right, look at it, look how
discussion has already moved on.
This is...
Junk. That was designed to be a power play by Humza Yousaf. He was trying to tell us all that he was taking back control of the Scottish Government. He had the exact opposite.
Columnist at the Herald and a long-time former BBC political editor in Scotland. Brian, Nick was saying
smoking
that
that fucking
last
pen.
week
Did you see that?
When
Hold on, anyway. I want to see that again. That was hilarious.
Nick, stay with us. I also want to bring in Brian Taylor, who is a political columnist at the Herald and
go and take one big
long-time
fucking
former
puff.
BBC political editor in Scotland. Brian,
That's
Nick
a
was
shit.
saying that it was last week at that moment when he pulled out of the green power sharing that has done it
get
for
rid
him.
of your cocaine nose, my man.
Humza, you appreciate what he was trying to do. He thought he was taking charge, as Nick says. He thought he was taking control, but he's ended up losing control entirely. It has been an exercise in self-immolation.
And so, assuming he does resign in the next few minutes, who is,
in
your mind, likely to take over?
If the SNP had a completely free
to
position,
me that's just
I
a
think
sign.
Kate Forbes would be a very strong contender. She almost defeated Humza Yousaf last year when the vacancy was created by Nicola Sturgeon standing down. The reason that she fell short was that she raised, or questions were raised with her about the gender recognition reform bill. That was the bill to enhance trans rights.
People they're standing next to each other.
Same-sex
oh yeah, he's
marriage.
kidding. They're standing next to each other, and I bet you they think they're pure different in style, and they both can't see they both look like 1970s porn stars.
And I guess it was probably that meant that she didn't win.
That guy doesn't have a tash over there.
It's that still dogs her. Because if there are members of the SNP who are disquieted,
I think you need to fucking have gay tashies to be part of the gang.
Vigorously and against it, and they say they simply could not do a deal with Kate Forbes. When she was standing for the leadership, she said she wanted to review.
You think they're best pals? And who do you think had the moustache first?
No, they wouldn't cut a deal with her. I don't think any of the unionist parties would cut a deal, which means you'd be reliant perhaps upon Ash Regan, but of the who defected to Alapa, but that's not really a stable basis. I think the Greens are hinting very strongly that they could do a deal with another SNP member, perhaps another member of the cabinet, perhaps John Swinney, as was being speculated. Who knows? That these things are possible. But the SNP will be very, very unhappy about the Greens appearing to have some degree of control over their choice of leader. But hey, that's politics and it's arithmetic.
It's politics, people.
If you are just joining us on BBC News, it is midday and we are looking at Bute House in Edinburgh. This is where we're expecting the First Minister, Humza Yousaf, to make a statement very shortly. We are expecting, the BBC understands, he will resign as First Minister. Talking to Brian Taylor, political commentator in Scotland and long-time BBC Scotland political editor. We mentioned John Sweeney. Do you think that is a possibility?
I think it is. John's been looking to take a step back from politics for quite some time. He had a very, very busy period. He was leader of the party at the beginning of the Scottish Parliament from 1999. It was an extremely turbulent period. He stood down, but when the SNP returned or gained power in 2007 under Alex Salmond, he became the Finance Secretary and was generally regarded as an extremely stable and secure Finance Secretary indeed. And during that 2007 period, he managed to cut deals on getting the budget through with, would you believe, then the Conservatives. Now, those days are gone. The days of a deal between the SNP and the Tories over the budget are gone. They're simply over. It would have to be the Greens, but John Sweeney's got experience.
I do remember John Sweeney,
well.
actually.
I think they would trust him.
Now to mention
him.
He
wants it. I think he could have had it last year, frankly. He could have
been
First Minister
bald,
last year. He didn't want
short
it.
black
He
hair
wants
on the side.
peaceful time. He wants more time with his family, genuinely more time with his family. But I think that he could perhaps be persuaded that there is a service to be done to his party and to the nation. He could perhaps be cajoled. Other than that, there are some senior members of the Scottish Cabinet, Mary McKellen, Jerry Ruth, Neil Gray, who would be contenders. But perhaps perhaps John Sweeney could hold the fort for a while until the SNP decide and determine what their future planning is.
OK, let's go back to Westminster and our political correspondent, Nick Eardley, because, Nick, under the law, they have 28 days to go back to choose a new First Minister. But if they can't choose one, there has to be an election, doesn't there?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Nicky.
OK, I'm going to go back.
As I believed ending the Bute House. Last week, I stood here to announce the ending of the cooperation agreement between the SNP and the Greens, the Bute House agreement, and that the SNP would seek to govern as a minority government. I made that decision as leader of the SNP, as I believed ending the Bute House agreement was the right one for the party I lead, and I still do believe that to be the case. But most importantly, I believe it was the right decision for the country. My hope was to continue working with the Greens in a less formal arrangement as the SNP moved into a new phase of minority government. Unfortunately, in ending the Bute House agreement in the manner that I did, I clearly underestimated the level of hurt and upset that caused Green colleagues. For a minority government to be able to govern effectively and efficiently, trust when working with the opposition is clearly fundamental. And while a route through this week's motion of no confidence was absolutely possible, I am not willing to trade my values and principles or do deals with whomever simply for retaining power. Therefore, after spending the weekend reflecting on what is best for my party, for the government and for the country I lead, I've concluded that repairing our relationship across the political divide can only be done with someone else at the helm. I have therefore informed the SNP's National Secretary of my intention to stand down as party leader and ask that she commences a leadership contest for my replacement as soon as possible. In order to ensure a smooth and orderly transition, it is my intention to continue as First Minister until my successor has been elected, particularly as the Parliament will be debating some incredibly important legislation in the coming days and the coming weeks. I cannot tell you what an honour it is being the First Minister of the country I love, the country I'm raising my family in, and the only country I will ever call home. As a young boy born and raised in Scotland, I could never have dreamt that one day I would have the privilege of leading my country. People who looked like me
sure he's a Glasgow boy.
Were not in positions of political influence, let alone leading governments when I was younger. But we now live in a UK that has a British Hindu Prime Minister, a Muslim Mayor of London, a Black Welsh First Minister, and for a little while longer, a Scots Asian First Minister of this country. So for those who decry that multiculturalism has failed across the UK, I would suggest that the evidence is quite to the contrary, and that is something we should all celebrate.
But yet you still bring in fucking race laws and all, hate laws and all that pish.
Whatever position I held during my time in politics, I've always been guided by my values. As First Minister, I'm incredibly proud to have a fair tax system, the most progressive in the UK, with those who earn the most.
Progressive, nothing more than a
and it will always be my core belief that in a country as rich as ours, wealth must be far more evenly distributed. I have no doubt at all that whoever takes over from me to reduce child poverty. I'm proud that through our actions, an estimated 100,000 children are expected to be lifted out of poverty this year. I also hope that as a country, we can be really proud of the strides that we have made to tackle inequality, prejudice and discrimination. But let's also acknowledge that far too often...
Acknowledge that we're a brilliant multicultural society, but also acknowledge the strides we've made to
every issue
no be that way. I don't get it.
Toxic culture war.
Well, I do get it,
but often the most marginalised in our society.
He's bullshit. It's just fucking...
As politicians of all political parties, we're afforded, we're privileged to have a platform. Each and every one of us must resist the temptation of populism at the expense of minorities, particularly in a general election year. I've often said that as a minority myself, my rights don't exist in a vacuum. They're only protected because the rights of everyone are protected.
If you're a minority, mate, come fucking stay where I'm fucking staying, pal. Fucking you ain't a fucking minority at all. In fact, you still would be a minority because you're a rich, pompous fuck. Well, in fact, nah. You just those stupid, big broad brushstroke statements. I'm a minority. Right, is that because you've got a fucking beard, you fucking? Because you steal your mom's mascara? What the fuck is going on here?
And from the backbenches of the Scottish Parliament, I will continue to champion the voices and the rights of those, the rights and the voices of those who are not often heard, be that at home or indeed overseas, such as those suffering and continue to suffer the most horrific humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza as the world watches on. Let me say to my SNP family, I will always be with you. I will always campaign alongside you.
Let's say to my fellow cult members,
in our movement, but we have overcome them, and we will do so again.
Our movement.
Independence feels
one party, one people, one power.
Frustration more than the leader of the SNP. But the last few miles of the marathon are always the hardest, and we have run this race as a team. And I know
you're fat cunt. I don't think you could run a marathon. You and your family control people to win these. But
over the finish line. And I will tell you today,
don't you're running the marathon anytime soon.
First Ministers get to meet countless inspirational people in communities across Scotland, working to make life better for those around them.
First Ministers get to try and get some public funds into my pocket by spouting bill crap to people.
And whenever First Ministers set foot beyond Scotland's shores, no matter where they go, in Europe or across the world, they encounter friends and admirers of our nation. If only every person in Scotland could be afforded the opportunity of being First Minister for just one day. On the very...
Oh, is that a fucking offer? Yeah, man, I'd have a lot of work to do, man. One day, but I guarantee I'd probably be able to do fucking more in one day than all these useless, well, it's quite fucking actually apt, because his name's useless, fucking politicians, but they're PoliTITS. And then, let's say, oh, right, I give me the First Minister role for one day. Well, you know, you've got it for one day, but you can't really do fuck all because of 10 million gallons of bureaucracy that you can't really do fuck all without fucking standing in one leg, fucking rubbing your belly and patting your nose while citing the Quran or some shit.
Very next day, it's my belief that they would vote for independence with both their head and their heart.
My boys. Can I vote with my boys as well? Does that mean every SNP zombie gets 2 votes? One with their head, one with their hearts? I don't. That's rigging the vote.
To my fellow MSPs of all political persuasions, next week is a crucial milestone. We mark 25 years of devolution. We have an electoral system that is designed for no political party to have an overall majority. Devolution's founding fathers and mothers, rightly in their wisdom, believe that no one loses out by politicians sharing wisdom, sharing counsel.
The founding fathers of this parliament understood that fuck all Sweet Fanny Adams could ever really get done if you allow every fucking clown and freak of the circus a fucking voice at the fucking table. So it doesn't matter if you've got the majority, it doesn't matter, because you've got every lunatic shouting their own shite and the fucking oh, look, we need to let the fucking, the wooden leg glass eye party in.
And so sharing ideas. But the converse is also true. That is why I would make an appeal to colleagues from across the political spectrum. But while government, of course, must act in good faith, so must their opposition, and be prepared to collaborate with us, not just oppose for opposition's sake.
Stop!
The only
Collaborate and listen!
As a result of such an impasse are the very public that we seek to serve. Politics and politicians, not unreasonably, I'm afraid, have often been maligned. However, I truly believe that when we get it right, and often we do, we are a force for good that can transform people's lives for the better. So to my colleagues in opposition, regardless of political party,
otherwise you would just be a useless cunt,
no ill will,
pointing it off the dumbass public who listen to your jibber jabber.
A brutal business. It takes its toll on your
what
physical
politician
and mental
could
health.
fucking
Your
object to that?
Suffer alongside you.
Fucking pigs at the fucking trough. The fucking lot of them.
My beautiful children and my wider family for putting up with me over the years.
Yes, he's going to cry!
From now. You are.
Hold on. Remember, this is Spaceballs. You can pause fucking live world. Shit. That's what I'm pausing the live world. I'm going to go to the bookies and see what's the money on him squeezing the tear out during his fucking resignation speech.
And although, of course, as you can tell, I'm sad that my time as First Minister is ending. But I am so grateful.
Mate, whoever's tell the person that's tickling your boys under the podium to stop it. They're trying to make you come at the wrong fucking point.
I'm so blessed for having the opportunity that are afforded to so few to lead my country. Who could ask for a better
think of football. Think of football. Think of football. Just legit. The lady. Oh, right, encore. We want more.
Humza Yousaf announcing that he will stand down as Scotland's First Minister just over a year after taking office. He said he would continue as First Minister until a successor was appointed. During that speech, he reflected on the last week, saying that he had been
there's the backup sign women must put in
working with the Greens
she gets
as a minority government after he ended the Butte agreement last week. But he said clearly, he had underestimated the level of upset in the Green Party. He went on to say he was not willing to do deals simply for maintaining power. So he had
decided the only one that's disappointed when the sign language people can actually talk?
To be done by someone else.
You wanted me to be mute, didn't you?
He told the audience that it was an honour being First Minister. He said he'd been guided by his values, including a fair tax system.
I fail to believe that mutes and sign language folk don't have a sense of humour.
He said he would continue to champion those from the back benches. He addressed what he called the SNP family. He said he would always be with them and always campaign with them. He said that independence feels frustratingly close. He added that the last few miles of a marathon are the hardest and that he would pass the baton on to a successor who he said can carry us over the finish line.
It's
He ended quite emotionally saying that he bears
your wig is
no
actually a
ill will
different
to
colour than your
anyone
actual
in
natural
politics,
hair.
but he said
Your
that
wig is
politics
brune.
can
I think that's what the
be a
colour he
brutal
wants his hair to
business,
be.
both
That's why when he went into the
physically
wig shop,
and
wow, have that
mentally.
one.
And at the end,
But his
he got
side
emotional
bits
as you
are
saw him,
grey
as he
and
paid
blackish.
tribute to his wife, his children, and his
Seriously, some cunt write
Let
him.
us get some
Go
reaction
troll,
to
man. Write
that
him a
news.
personal email.
Alexandra Mackenzie is outside Butte House. Alexandra, I wondered if I could get your initial reaction to what you made
If he was my pal, I
of
would
that
definitely go out here,
resignation
buddy.
speech from the First Minister.
You're no fooling any cunt.
Yes, well, we're outside the First Minister's residence. It was quite a short speech. I was outside, but I've just heard from some of my colleagues who were inside that, you know, it was an incredibly emotional
I would take the piss out of her,
Humza
but
Yousaf
my mum always told me don't take
at
the
one
piss out of
point,
stroke victims.
and several of his colleagues and staff were also quite emotional, because this has unravelled very quickly since Thursday, this time last week, where we expected this. And
be laughing at the side of your fucking face.
He believed that ending the Butte House agreement was the right thing to do, but he said he underestimated the level of hurt that had been caused, and we heard about that level of hurt from the co-leaders of the Green Party over the weekend. And he said, as he was about to announce that he was resigning, he'd reflected on what was best for everyone. We can imagine that he spent the weekend at his family home in Dundee thinking about his options, thinking just over a year since he became First Minister. So very big decision to make this announcement that he is resigning. He will continue until his successor has been found, and he talked of the honour of being First Minister, and a lot of times it was very, very heartfelt.
It was indeed. You're watching BBC News. And Alexandra, I just wonder what the process will now be.
You tell him
he's saying that he will remain in place while a successor is found.
Yes, things do move on quite quickly, and there's already been talk about who might succeed Humza Yousaf as Scotland's First Minister, and Parliament will have 20
bitten by dog. Headline news.
First Minister, or there would be an early election. There have already been names in the frame. We've heard about Kate Forbes. She was narrowly beaten by Humza Yousaf last time. Also, John Swinney, who has been leader of the party before. He didn't stand last time, but he's been encouraged to stand this time. Other names in the frame: Education Secretary Jenny Gilruth, the Culture Secretary Angus Robertson, Health Secretary Neil Gray. So this has moved on quite quickly from Humza Yousaf, who has just in the last few minutes announced his resignation as First Minister of Scotland.
Right, okay, Henry, get it.
And the exchange of hostages. Hamas says it has no major issues after considering Israel's most recent proposal for a long-awaited peace and hostage release agreement in Gaza. That's according to AFP, citing the group's representative. Israel estimates there are still 129 Israelis being held in Gaza. Earlier, Israel rejected Hamas's demands for an ongoing truce. Nonetheless, according to reports, Israel is willing to talk about the restoration of sustainable calm in Gaza, following the release of the hostages as part of its most recent approach. According to the Gazan Health Ministry, the Israeli offensive has killed at least 34,454 Palestinians in Gaza, the majority of them being women and children. Well, meanwhile, in Israel, far-right ministers oppose the deal with Hamas. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir says the deal would mean the dissolution of the government, and the finance minister, in turn, only added fuel to the fire.
If you decide to fly a white flag and cancel the order to conquer Rafah immediately to complete the mission of destroying Hamas and restore peace for the residents of southern Israel and all of the country's citizens, and return our abducted brothers and sisters who are held hostage to their homes, then the government will have no right of existence.
We just spit out in an average sentence. Baby Escobar, did you see that one?
Public continues
that is
to advocate
brilliant.
for the return of hostages from Hamas captivity. Earlier, mass anti-government protests were held.
See
in
that?
Tel Aviv.
Is it there?
Protesters
Baby
called for
Escobar.
early elections and demanded the return of Israelis from Gaza. Minister Benny Gantz and opposition leader Yair Lapid said that the return of abductees is a government priority.
This government has to choose return of the abductees alive or Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, relations with the Americans or Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, the Saudi deal or Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, Israel's security or Ben-Gvir and Smotrich.
If a responsible outline is reached for the return of the abductees, with the backing of the entire security system, which does not involve the end of the war.
Where do the RT get these voices from? Do you think they pay somebody to really read out these things in some sort of an audio
campaign
like this?
Political analyst Amir Oren says the hostage deal is the appropriate decision for Prime
She
Minister
looks like a sexy
Netanyahu,
bumblebee,
despite the
doesn't she?
earlier promises of a total victory.
The extreme right-wing ministers, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, are putting the lives of the hostages far below their own ideological fanaticism. And they are threatening Netanyahu with toppling his government and going to early elections, which Netanyahu knows he will lose. So the question is, will Netanyahu finally, for the first time in many years, show some leadership and resist the pressure by Smotrich and Ben-Gvir? If Gantz and his partner Eisenkot leave the government, there will be huge demonstrations, huge protests, probably a general strike, which is going to bring the government down.
How he wouldn't want
So
to
the
trade his
question
back.
for Netanyahu is not whether the government will fall, but from which direction. And if that is the case, it is better for him to go for a hostage deal, even though it means that Israel has not gotten the total victory which he promised. Once the deal is accepted, there will be jubilation in Israel. But once the celebrations are over, the political storm will take over and Israel will go to early elections, which will bring the end to the Netanyahu rule over Israeli politics.
Well, nearly 7 months into the war in Gaza, most of its residential buildings have already been destroyed by the IDF. It could take at least 14 years while using 100 trucks just to clear away all the rubble. That's the stark assessment from the top demining official at the United Nations.
Has had power in any government.
Be interested to hear about Al
months of
Jazeera's
challenges around both gender identity and climate targets, it was his decision to end that agreement.
Al
The
Jazeera
hurt he caused those
podcast
in the Green
with
Party seem to
Doha
have made it
by
very
a London
difficult for him to
reporter
continue
telling me
with any
sitting
kind
in
of
Scotland
government
what's
because
happening
they
in
have
Scotland
refused
through in
outright
Edinburgh.
to support him as the ongoing leader of the Scottish National Party.
Will and Mark, thanks very much.
Love it.
Meanwhile, after days of public speculation, the Spanish Prime Minister says that he will not resign. Sanchez says claims of corruption involving his wife made him consider his position. Thousands rallied on the streets of Madrid to support him. His wife, Begoña Gómez, is being investigated for alleged corruption. Sanchez insists she is innocent. As a campaign of political harassment by the right.
No. Come on. I mean, I'm as sceptical as the next gent. But you try to tell me politicians are on the fucking take? Nah. Then you'll be telling me priests suddenly put here by gods and they're out there fucking raping, pillaging and fucking little babies and all that. Nah, instead of just being like good, really good Christian folk. Come on. How can you live your life being so sceptical about the world? Unicorns are fucking real. It's the national animal of Scotland. Scotland's national animal is a fictional animal, so it's fucking real. And priests are all just they're just serving God. They just believe in the word of God and all that. They're not there fucking little babies and opening like fucking being nosy bastards by opening confessional booths and nah. I love this. I think the world is down. The world is great. Hold on. Next will be telling me the firemen only do it for the money.
South Korea has accused the North of laying mines along a road in the demilitarized zone between the two countries. South Korea says its military detected the mines being placed on an unpaved road inside the zone near Arrowhead Hill in Sherwon. Officials in Seoul say the action is the latest in a series of moves to shut down roads that cross the border. Rob McBride is following developments from Seoul.
This seems to be another step by North Korea to further permanently seal the border between North and South, and also scuppering any chances, it seems, of reconciliation. The South apparently detected first signs of mines being laid on this particular track at the end of last year. This is a track that accesses a hillside that was the scene of fighting during the Korean War, with a view to exhuming the remains of soldiers for repatriation. This was all part of a 2018 military agreement between North and South that was signed when relations were improving, and which is all but a memory now. As well as taking steps against this particular track, the North has also been taking measures to permanently seal off two paved roads which had been used for cooperation projects, going to the extent of actually removing street lighting from roads on its side of the border.
How would you report this without having well, tensions between China and America, the West, are heating up. In the South China Sea, North Korea, in reality, in my very humble opinion, is not more than a proxy for China, basically. North Korea couldn't exist, survive, continue to exist without China. Economic, all the support that it gives. And the North-South thing was all part of the West's attempt to grab as much influence and territory as they could after World War II. The Korean War, the Vietnam War, etc., the fucking Taiwan.
Dozens of tornadoes have been reported across the American Midwest since Friday.
Woo! Yeah, harp. Fucking harp.
India's military is helping
Alex
to
Jones.
fight wildfires in the forest of Uttarakhand state. Local officials say they've documented more than 200 fires they believe have mostly been caused by people in the area. Severe heat wave has hit much of southern India and Southeast Asia. Another quick story from Japan. The value of the yen has fallen to its lowest level against the US dollar in more than 30 years. A decision last month by the Bank of Japan to raise interest rates for the first time since 2007 has had little impact. A weaker yen is good for exports and tourism, but it hits households by increasing the cost of imports. Finance Ministry has pledged to take measures to halt the slide.
Down a bit.
Left a bit. Me, but my colleague
right a bit.
Will be with you.
Boom!
For
And your money's gone.
Bulletin. That's in about 25 minutes' time, so don't miss it. In the meantime,
thank you for your service.
Website,
Please come again.
The weather is also coming up next, and then there's Inside.
Pardon me. Snack food. Spectacle. Oh my god. I take it back. I'm not going to do American stuff anymore. The fucking flick on that, man. You're getting a headline with cheese balls. What the fuck? I don't know what's worse. That looks pretty cool. What is that? That'll be how Iran is getting over sanctions. Voice of the voiceless. You've got to love these meaningless fucking memes. We've got the balls for the ballless. We got the moustaches for the moustachious-listnesses. Oh yeah, hold on, is that real? That's pretty cool. Stay there. Look what that well, man. That is cool as a motherfucker. What the fuck is this? Mate, it's the bottom of the hour, so it's going to be their opinion pieces and all that push.
Ships do leave these docks in Turkey and make its way to the Palestinian Strip, but there's also a great deal more complications as the...
I can just watch her for a wee... That guy puts me off, but...
Weekend, but streaming out into today over illegal immigration. Ireland accusing...
Oh my God! Look! I don't hear this anywhere. I don't hear it everywhere else. But they don't follow the news agenda. They set it. No, they're just talking about the same shit as everybody else, endlessly droning on with their own fucking particular slant, but passing it off as news. But it's all personality, talking head driven, based fucking cult like fucking mentality thinking. That's why they get rattled and fined for allowing Anyway, Jacob Rees-Mogg do party political broadcasts and dress it up as news. I wonder if they reported on that actually. I don't know. Anyway, let's I can watch her for a wee bit, man.
In the United Kingdom of allowing asylum seekers and illegal migrants into their country.
They
want to deport them back to the United Kingdom. We're saying, well, hang on, we can't deport illegal migrants back to France. So therefore, the row continues.
Well, this is a great story, okay? Really great on numerous different levels. Firstly, the people of Ireland aren't happy about what's been going on, and this is some pictures now of one of many protests.
What? Irish cunts! Irish cunts rioting? No. They should be telling me the French are rioting. Oh, fuck. You know, I think there's a correlation between the... I'm trying to work a joke in here about the price of Guinness. But I'm struggling, but I'm going to get there. Some correlation between the price of cheap booze and these riots going through the roof. I tried. I failed, but tried. There's a joke in there somewhere.
Protests that have been taking place right across Ireland.
But oh, in fact, this is what I'll do. Hold on, I'm a communist now. I'm a fully paid member of the Communist Party. So, see everybody's waking up. Everybody thinks like this. Look, even the Irish. We're 15 in the morning to you. You got some petrol bombs there, Hamish. What will we do with them today? Let's go and throw them at some brown people. Well, fucking good idea, man. Get the Guinness and my balaclava out, Hamish. And we're going to go and take these petrol bombs. We're going to go and... Who are we going to throw them at again, Hamish? I don't know. Just follow the crowd and we'll throw them at whoever's going to throw that, and then the Guardia will be around them, then we can fuck shout and piss and moan at them, you know. Freedom! Too easy. Sorry, fucking leprechauns, man. I still believe leprechauns have a sense of humour. I still live in hope that leprechauns... have a sense of humour. Well, they fucking got to have a sense of humour chasing all those fucking pots of gold. Rainbows.
Ireland with a...
Do you know that leprechauns were the original poofs? That's why they were fucking their pots of gold were at the end of the rainbow. Not a lot of people know that. So people like Tommy Sheridan... Oh, don't let me get this. I'll get fucking dyslexic and not. The internet dude, Thomas Sheridan, who fucking has a cave that goes to the centre of the world, but no vid... A grown man goes on camera And I don't even know if he's got a straight face because he's got a homeless man beard. You know, those kind of beards. It just doesn't look like they've been groomed, looked after. You know, there's like wee fucking ferrets and fucking all sorts of shit living in it, man. Fair play is people want to fucking Gandalf themselves to the fucking nines, batter in. Right, Thomas Sheridan. No, Tommy. Oh, fuck. It's fucking my napper again. There's a Scottish socialist guy, Tommy Sheridan, and then there's the internet dude, Thomas Sheridan, who has a wee cave somewhere in the back of his yard out there in Ireland, you know. Listen to you Irish dumb, you dumb Yankee Doodle dandies, yeah. I invented Lucky Charms, so I did. You dumb fucking Yankee Doodle dandies. So come and listen to my piss that they get monetized because I'm talking about bullshit. You know, I don't touch on anything other than I got a cave. Gen up, a grown man, saying that he's got a cave that goes to the centre of the fucking earth. The centre of the fucking earth goes to a different dimension. Nothing. I've tried to record it, you know, but every time I go down, everything just blacks out, man. You know, or dirt between a turd. And, you know, and yes, look at my beard. It's got maggots growing in it, so it has. But anyway, let's fucking watch the Irish riot.
Population just a few million has had at least another 1 million people essentially forced upon by another incredibly woke government over there. Now you've got around 80%.
Right, sorry man, seeing you the little slime balls like and another woke government over there. It's a fucking stupid. And relax.
Of asylum seekers coming from the UK into the Republic of Ireland, so they're having to deal with that. The Irish High Court did decide that the UK wasn't a safe country anymore.
Right, is that riots or is that just a normal day in Ireland? Have you seen the 4th of July fucking celebrations, man? It's the 4th of it. There's a famous painting now that everybody knows. It stands for our deliverance down on Sandy Road.
Headlines for San Francisco.
Honestly, see if you seen a wee slimy cunt like that in the boozer, you would just hate him without even without him speaking, and then he would be up at the bar, from the newsroom, a £20 million fucking shitty suit and fucking big boat shoes.
Minister of Scotland. He's also stepping down as SNP leader. He'll continue, though, in his post until a replacement is found. The First Minister was battling for
Humza!
a power-sharing deal between the SNP and Scottish Greens last week. He says he made the decision in order to repair relationships across the Scottish political divide.
I could never have dreamt that one day...
Yes, I'm stepping down to heal. Shut up, you fucking slime. You can't even go out with a dignity of truth. I'm stepping down because I was going to get kicked out. Right? That's what you should say if you want to even resemble some fucking truth. You know, I'm stepping down to make sure the best of Scotland. I love Scotland. I'm sick of all these fake ass motherfuckers. I was going to say fake ass niggers, but I don't want to upset anybody, man. And it's just shout out to my 2000s, early 2000 hip hop career.
I would have the privilege of leading my country. People who looked like me were not
getting a blowjob right now.
Of political
influence. Police Academy.
Let alone leading governments.
That's what's happening. He's getting head.
We now live in a UK that has a British Hindu Prime Minister, a Muslim Mayor of London, a Black Welsh First Minister.
Kumbaya fucking yeah.
Longer,
you know,
a Scots Asian First Minister.
Who gives a fuck? No cunt can fucking do a good job. Hey, look, we've got a fucking empty packet of crisps doing the job. Look how diverse we are. It doesn't matter if it's an empty packet of fucking crisps and can't do fuck all. We're diverse. So celebrate our diversity rather than the ability to do a fucking good job. Have I not fucking, hold on, let me spread your cheeks, do a bit of rusty trombone on everybody. If I left anybody out, who gives a fuck? We can't do the job. Who gives a fuck? Look, I'm brown, they're yellow, he's gay, she's fucking hit, they, them, fucking whatever. Get a bag of flour, rattle it, and look for the wet spot. Fuck it, look. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck if we'll get anybody competent to do a fucking job? Who cares? Just get every freak in the fucking circus, roll them up into a political fucking, let's call it a political party of Frankenstein fuckers. Every freak. Dick, vagina, hermaphrodite, fucking, hold on, man. Yeah, I'm inspired.
I've made out
Catholics, even get the fucking Catholics in, right? And then we'll roll them all into this big mass fucking political jobby monster with all sorts of fucked up fucking agendas other than looking after or doing a good job. And people are more focused on the perception of what we are rather than doing what we see on the fucking tin. Fucking Catholic. Fucking Catholics. Told you can tell with the fucking smell. Remember, this used to be acceptable comedy. Nowadays, this is just hate speech and shit.
Aye. Well, I couldn't miss it. Knowing my brother being the cardinal. I signed it there.
Thank you very much. Sammy, how long have you been a scout for Rangers?
Oh, just for 2 days, boss, aye.
Why are you bringing me a stinky Catholic?
I must be honest. I didn't think Rangers signed Catholics.
Oh, did you not?
Still in the black and white now, eh? Legal contract, signed it on both sides.
You signed it, did you?
Aye.
Well, of course, this contract could be void, you know, if we discover, for example, that you have a bad disciplinary record.
You're in luck. Never been sent off in my life.
Never been sent off. Have you been booked?
No.
No. Yeah.
Right, okay, let's hopefully you get the point. But aye, fuck it. Who gives a fuck if you can do the job? Just as long as you're a part of the rainbow spectrum. That's what's more important. Fur coat over knickers. In fact, that's my new party. I'm going to start a political party called Fur Coat Over Knickers Party. Now here's the brilliant gimmick. You know you get the Raven Lunatic Party? There's the Wig Man. Hey, Wig Man! You know you get the Raven Lunatic Party? And they turn up dressed in all sorts of shit. What do you think the Fur Coat No Knickers Party will fucking rock up wearing? That's it. No fucking knickers and a big fucking fur coat. A big pimp daddy on stage, man. And then obviously the reporters are going to ask the Fur Coat No Knickers Party, do you have any knickers on? Then we can get down to one of our I'm a multiple party man. Not only am I a member of the Communists, I'm going to set up a wee side hustle called the Fur Coat No Knickers Party. It's away from my Communist main shit, but anyway, here's a Scottish cunt on a webcam, because thanks Joe Rogan.
Our motion, I believe, this week, and that's why I think he has gone today. So it underlines the fact that here in Scotland, it is the Scottish Conservatives that are proving to be a strong opposition, not just to Humza Yousaf, but to the SNP.
Are you going to go ahead with, as Nick Eardley was saying, the vote of confidence in the government rather than just in the First Minister?
Oh, that's
interesting. We tabled a motion of no confidence in the First Minister because we believed that the numbers were there to push this to a vote and to potentially win that vote. And it's because the Scottish Conservatives tabled that motion of no confidence in Humza Yousaf himself that the First Minister has now resigned. We are looking very closely at the timetable now that the First Minister is going to come forward with in terms of his replacement, and it may well be that we continue to press for our vote of no confidence in him this week.
Tommy Burns, easy to see.
David Wallace-Lockhart, who's one of our political correspondents in Scotland, he's hearing that you could, although...
Are you calling Tommy Burns and Paul McStay mad shaggles, mate? Oh man, I had so much fun yesterday. I watched the Celtic game where fucking 2 Celtic boys either side of me, man. One of them was of the younger persuasion, good with the banter, quite happy to sit next to a Rangers fan for a wee bit of jibber jabber. The other cunt, man, was like fucking old school fucking hardcore Fenian Republican cunt, man. It was hilarious. And obviously kind of like smelling him. I was like, I'm going, no, that's not true. I didn't provoke him. He was just being a twat. Anyway, it was brilliant fun. It was amazing fun. It was almost as funny as that guy's fucking wig.
To do things and pass legislation in Scotland.
Well, look, the problem recently is that the Scottish Parliament has been passing bad legislation, damaging legislation, those dangerous gender recognition reform laws that put women's safe spaces and women's safety at risk. And that wasn't just the SNP that was pursuing that legislation. They were supported by Labour and the Liberal Democrats. So time and time again in the Scottish Parliament, it has been the Scottish Conservatives and the Scottish Conservatives alone who've been standing up to some of the extremist policies that were being pursued by the SNP Green coalition. That's why we're pleased that last week the Greens were removed from government, and that's why this week we are pleased that Humza Yousaf has removed himself as First Minister before our vote went through, because I think he's been doing real damage to Scotland since he was elected to replace Nicola Sturgeon just over 12 months ago.
Mr Yousaf said that politics was a brutal business, and he called on other parties like yourself to act in good faith and not just oppose for the sake of opposition. Are you going to do that?
Well, look, Humza Yousaf has been one of the most incompetent and divisive figures as First Minister since devolution 25 years ago. And that's why it was a bit rich of him over the course of the weekend. And it also exposed his weakness, that he actually had to reach out to his political opponents to try and save his political skin. That clearly didn't work. And I think it's now time that we move on. And I think what the Scottish people want is a Scottish Parliament
the People's Channel.
Not
brought to you by
pursuit of independence,
Nigel Badge, man of the people,
in the 2014
Fuck
independence
me.
referendum.
Craig Hoyle, chairman of the Scottish Conservatives. Thank you.
She's
very
a
much
woman
for
of the
joining us on
people.
BBC News. Let's go back to outside Butte House. Our Scotland correspondent Alexandra Mackenzie is there. Interesting there, Alexandra, that the Scottish Conservatives
something Mackenzie.
Looking
Fuck's
at the
sake, man,
moment
she should be called Scottish McHaggis, fucking Rabbi Burns, fucking Scotland, Scotland. Fuck's sake, man.
That's right. I was just thinking about that as you were talking about it, and you know, people are still gathered here at outside the official residence here. And one of the other things that struck me as well was the what Humza Yousaf said about a
couldn't get a line on fucking him resigning.
And that made me think about, you know, the legacy that Humza Yousaf possibly leaves behind. And looking back to last year, he narrowly scraped in over Kate Forbes in when he became First Minister, and he has been dealing with quite a lot over that time, including the police investigation into SNP finances have overshadowed his time in office. The Hate Crime Act has been controversial. The relationship with the Greens that was set up by Nicola Sturgeon 3 years ago has been difficult, and there were areas where he had
but to you're not going to talk about the fact that SNP's fucking dear leader, Zeke Sturgeon, long may she live,
which was ultimately blocked by the UK government. So quite a lot has happened even in his short time in
pretty
government.
sure
so,
some cunt got arrested
as
recently.
First Minister, so yes,
Re-arrested.
this minority government may have to work hard to, as you say, maybe get things back on track.
I was interested during his speech. He talked and warned against the dangers of populism.
Get on the TV, man.
He would be a voice for those who are not often heard, even on the backbenches.
Would you call a Glaswegian in a fucking suit?
He made that point quite strongly, quite heartfelt, and I think he was also making the point that he's not going to disappear from sight. He might not be in the first minister's seat in
be honest, man, fucking shit on YouTube nowadays. Apart from how to cook this, how to do that,
and he talked
very
much in
music.
his speech about the
Shit
things
on
that
YouTube
he
isn't my cup of tea
still
anymore.
interested in, some things that he wanted to push forward in terms of tackling poverty, in terms of tackling
more recently, right?
hatred. So I don't think
Somebody
we've heard the last of Humza Yousaf. He's still sounded very passionate about his
checked it out, and it was a
beliefs
channel on Rumble called
what he wants to continue
Redacted,
doing
Unredacted News,
Parliament.
something like that.
Of course, it won't be
right?
him doing it as First Minister,
And
so
I checked
attention, as we've been discussing in the last hour, turns to who is going to take over. Just take us through the front runners.
Do you think his wig is deliberately some sort of like hypnotic
absolutely. As I think
so
I said,
that you can't like listen to the bullshit he's spouting, you're more focused on
yes, it
like,
won't be Humza Yousaf in that
and the fact that cunt's fucking wig is a giraffe.
Kate Forbes is one name that has been mentioned several times. She ran last time. She was narrowly beaten by Humza Yousaf. She was asked about it in the last few days, but at that point it was appropriate to say that she was backing the First Minister.
That's the only dude
Humza
whose
Yousaf.
name's been mentioned who could go up in my
Scottish
head.
Greens
Oh, I
have
actually
been
know what his
critical
face
of
looks
her,
like.
social
But he's never came across as
for them
particularly
to work on a case-by-case basis with Kate
charismatic.
Forbes. And some are urging the former Deputy First Minister John Swinney, who also
Humza wasn't particularly fucking
to run for the job.
either.
He was asked about
that
earlier this morning before the announcement, but wouldn't
presents
be
himself
drawn.
well.
He would also
you
be
get
widely
me?
considered to
Doesn't
be
he come
the
across as a
caretaker,
stumbling, mumbling
First
idiot?
Minister in the interim. So I think those possibly the two names at the moment: Kate Forbes, John Swinney.
Sturgeon,
Other names that I have
as much
heard
as
are the
everybody loved to
Education
hate her, me
Secretary
included.
Jenny Gilruth,
She
possibly
could
slightly
hold an
less
audience.
well known, the Culture Secretary Angus Robertson, or the Health Secretary Neil
And she
Gray.
definitely
So
came across
there
as
are
sincere.
quite a few,
I would question her sincerity,
any successor
but she definitely
would
came
face,
across as sincere.
difficult challenges. It is now a
Yousaf
minority
doesn't
government,
come
but
across as
that's
sincere
how
at
the
all,
Scottish
man.
Parliament was set up. It's not
all
the first time
and
that
no
we have
fucking
had a
knickers.
minority government within the Scottish Parliament.
Alexandra, stay with us outside Bute House in Edinburgh. Let's bring in Professor Nicola McEwen, who is Professor of Public Policy at the University of Glasgow. Thank you very much for joining us on BBC News. I wondered if you could talk us through the process. What now happens now that Humza Yousaf has resigned?
So, well, he hasn't resigned, so he's announced his intention to resign, and that's important because it's only at the point of his resignation that the process kicks in to appoint his successor as First Minister, and at that point there would be a 28-day period in law for the Parliament to decide whether it can
she definitely needs her
majority
daughters or
in
some kind
favour
of come in and take
of a
care of
new
your
First
eyebrows,
Minister.
man.
And if that doesn't happen, if they cannot come to
we'll see what I mean.
even a simple majority, if there are multiple candidates, that's usually the case, then there would be an extraordinary election. But we're a long way from that yet.
It's definitely
it was interesting to listen to your previous guest, the Conservative Party chairman, because he indicated that the Scottish Conservatives hadn't yet ruled out proceeding with the
But she's a
vote of
professor.
confidence
Does
in
he give
the
a
First
fuck?
Minister.
Probably got a fucking other half.
He was to lose,
Lots of dough in the
there may
bank.
be more pressure on him to resign sooner
likes
rather
to think
than
about
later.
shit.
But my reading of the
like,
First Minister's statement
fuck
was
my
that he
eyebrows.
wanted to stay in position to allow time for his successor as party leader and his successor as First Minister to be appointed.
That's interesting. So in terms of time frame, you mentioned that 28 days. How long do you think, is there a limit before that kicks in, or can we just keep going
Pakistani
until
lineage, depending on how far
decides
you
to
want to go
actually
back?
go to
That's
the
my
King and
youth.
resign?
But he's a Glasgow dude.
If the Conservatives proceeded with their vote of no confidence and he lost
I'm
that
pretty
vote,
sure he was fucking born in
necessarily
Glasgow.
have
Certainly
to
sounds like
resign
it.
at that point. But if the Labour
You
Party
know, like,
proceeds with its vote of no confidence, which is a vote of no
I'm
confidence
being
in the
a
Scottish Government,
muzzy
and the Scottish Government lost
Pakistani
that vote,
lineage,
then the First
isn't
Minister
he
is compelled to resign,
isn't
and
he
that would
part
trigger
of the
the
reason
28-day process.
that
But
Hankey's a
I do
fucking
think that is
dickhead?
unlikely. I think perhaps
Because he's
again,
the leader of the
perhaps,
SNP,
Ash Regan from the
or
Alpha Party may not
nationalists.
side with the Labour
And I'm a
motion
unionist.
to bring the government down and force things along,
and
given
he's just,
that their focus was Humza Yousaf, and he has announced his intention to resign now.
in Glasgow, man, you apply yourself, you can
that is what they want.
rise to all sorts of levels
That's what they
because
say
we
they
rule the
want,
world.
but
And,
I'm a little bit sceptical, I have to say,
and he
that
did,
any
man.
political
He ended
party
up
would want
fucking
to
in the
have
SNP.
2 elections within a matter of months.
I know what you mean,
given
mate.
the resource implications of all
that
of that.
particular
But they may go ahead
part of
and perhaps to make a political
the
statement,
PCs
perhaps
doesn't
with the genuine intention
scare
of bringing the government down. But once again, that
influence
doesn't
me
necessarily mean there
in
would be an election. That would then
waving
trigger that
ta-ta at
28-day
Yousaf.
process that's set out in law and
each
in
their own and all
the
that,
Scottish Parliament standing orders to see if a successor can be appointed.
You've followed Scottish politics for a long time. I wondered if I could get your view on where the SNP are today.
So even before today and the events of the
best
last
place
week,
in the world,
the SNP were
It's not shit at all.
facing a challenging year in the run-up to the general election, and
Just keep
possibly
taking your
depending on what happened at that point,
antidepressants.
in the run-up to the next Scottish Parliament election.
We
We will
know
have to
just
wait and
an
see what difference a
Well,
new
buddy,
leader
I don't have
makes
an
and a new
accent.
First
Everybody else
Minister
does.
makes. There's
That's
not
the
a
way
whole
I
lot
see
of
it.
time between
Glasgow
now
is the
and
centre
a
of the
likely
universe
general
because I
election
stay
for
there.
them to
And I
make
love
a
Glasgow,
difference.
man. The
But
good,
the
the bad,
party
the ugly,
is,
indifferent,
I mean,
and
I think
everything in
we need to be
between.
careful not to exaggerate the
And
difficulties that the party is in.
history
They're still
and
the strongest party in Scotland.
influence
Some
of
opinion polls
Glasgow,
suggest they're
Scotland,
running neck and neck with Labour
worldwide
for the UK general
is
election.
phenomenal,
And
considering what a wee
certainly
speck
looking
we are on
a
the
lot brighter
planet.
for the Labour Party in terms of outlook than it has done for a number of years, and they will hope to be a serious challenger to the SNP come the next Holyrood election.
And very briefly, when do
Oh,
you
we need a
think we
brown.
might
Oh,
have
there
a
is the
new
brown
First
man. The
Minister?
main man's the brown man.
I suppose it depends on whether or not there are multiple candidates for the post of SNP leader, because that would affect the timetable, I think, of what the party then did to allow different candidates to go out and campaign. First of all, they would have to secure nominations, and then they would have a campaign and a vote. And the party, to my knowledge, hasn't said anything of that yet. So it will depend on the candidates.
Professor Nicola McEwen, Professor of Public Policy at the University
I
of
heard
Glasgow,
my
thank
own
you very
thing
much
there,
for
and I'm
joining
not
us.
even going to repeat it.
If you are just joining us, this is the moment that Scotland's First Minister Humza Yousaf announced that he was to resign.
Wig or that's
hope
definitely.
was
I'm
to
sorry to
continue
keep going on, man, but the cunt's
In a
wig
less
is fucking
formal arrangement,
outrageous.
The SNP moved into a new phase of minority government. Unfortunately, in ending the Butte House Agreement in the manner that I did.
Right, hold on a second. Hold on, wait a minute. Scoot? No, that's ultrasonic, no scooter. Anyway, hold on, wait a minute. Democracy, rule by majority. The Scottish Parliament is set up to be run by minorities. That's what's getting said and put out there. And I would just like people to stop and think about that. The system that the pigs at the fucking trough, right? The pigs at the trough have set up is run by minorities, which means sweet fuck all can get done because every freak at the circus, every lunatic at the circus is allowed to go, well, hold on, I think you should be able to get a third tit on the NHS. Right? And that one little freak's voice will then be just as important as everyone else. Like, shut the fuck up, you're fucking idiot, man. Like, the NHS, let's prioritise this stuff. 3 tits isn't up the top of the fucking list. Right? No. That one freak's point of view is as valuable as the rest of every cunt going like that. He's a fucking freak. He wants 3 tits on the NHS. No fucking chance. No, come on. Unicorns and rainbows. Look at my Jesus sandals. Right, and that's the way modern democracy scam works. Right? So everything marches on. The small minuses about corporation tax and all that gets done, and the people are sitting arguing about dicks, vaginas, who's a man, who's a woman, and fucking if unicorns exist or no. Democracy scam, people. Democracy scam. And remember, if you dare suggest anything else, there's something wrong with you. You're like you're a radical. You're a radical. You're an agent of Russia or the Chinese or some shit. Because you dare suggest that the institutions that have been running in this country, some of them for over 1,000 years, the institutions that have been running this country for fucking centuries, they're all inherently corrupt. The bureaucracy isn't an accident. The bureaucracy's there to make sure that fucking... Look what happened to Weinstein. Boom. Go and figure that out. The bureaucracy's there to ensure that the people that make the fucking bureaucracy are always in control. Anyway, that's just my rant.
I clearly underestimated the level of
rainbows and unicorns
that caused Green colleagues. For a minority government to be able to govern effectively and efficiently, trust when working with the opposition is clearly fundamental. And while a route through this week's motion of no confidence was absolutely...
Do women have vaginas?
I am not willing to trade my values and principles or do deals with whomever simply for retaining power.
Did he say he wasn't willing to trade his Moz mascara? Just simply to let my beard grow grey naturally?
Therefore, after spending the weekend reflecting on what is best for my party, for the government and for the country I lead, I've concluded that repairing our relationship across the political divide can only be done with someone else at the helm. I have therefore informed the SNP's National Secretary of my intention to stand down as party leader and ask that she commences a leadership contest for my replacement as soon as possible.
That is Humza Yousaf in the last hour announced.
Aye, come on, man. You need to thumbs this video up. It's just that it's worth a thumbs up just for laughing at this cunt's wig alone. And I love the time frame that this is just coincidence, man. It's just his fate has made it that this guy's shift is at this time when I'm going to do these kind of daily PoliTITS announcements, and this is a Goebbels fucking masterclass trick. Get the guy to wear an obvious, really bad wig as he's doing the news, and people will be more obsessed with how bad his wig is rather than him telling you that the world's going to end. This guy honestly could have said, a nuclear bomb is going to land in your back garden in 5 minutes time, and I'll still be sitting here in 5 minutes like that. This guy's getting away in a fucking wig.
announcing his resignation, triggering a search for a successor and a new First Minister in Scotland. He said he had underestimated the level of hurt after entering a power-sharing deal with the Scottish Greens last week. Mr Yousaf says he'll stay on as First Minister until the SNP chooses his replacement. We have a special live page up and running on the BBC News website and app with reaction to that.
Come on, Alan, what have I ever done to you, man? Why you want me to get you? Oh, you're talking about useless. Man, he should have changed his name before he got into PoliTITS, man. Like, if he had any, if he was a Thundercat, you know, and had sight before sight, no, that's He-Man, innit? No, that was the power of Grayskull. Gave me sight before sight. Thundercats. If he was a Thundercat, he would have had the foresight. My name, Yousaf, is very close to useless, and in the modern internet world in which I will be doing my PoliTITS, could be very easily propagated just to rip the hole right out me, and thus hummus useless, and that has been propagated to a fucking crazy extent, where your average dude on the street in Glasgow that doesn't give a fuck about PoliTITS is calling him useless. That's how well this has been propagated, man.
That decision from both at Westminster and at Holyrood. Stay with us now on BBC News. Coming up next is the 1 o'clock news with Ben Brown.
Thundercats. Alright, hold on, is this the top of this is the top of the shit, right? So we'll get a wee. This is the summary of the shit that they want you to think about. Get it? Got it. Oh, thank fuck, man.
Today at 1, Scotland's First Minister has announced he is resigning. In the last hour, Humza Yousaf, who had been facing 2 votes of no confidence, said he is stepping down as SNP leader and First Minister.
I am not willing to trade my values and principles or do deals with whomever simply for retaining power.
Look at sign languages, people's faces. It's brilliant.
Was an emotional statement from Humza Yousaf. Now the focus shifts
like an emotional roller coaster and facial expressions.
Yes, we'll have the very latest from Edinburgh and also from Westminster. Also this lunchtime, big changes to disability benefits proposed by the government, but campaigners say it's a reckless assault on disabled people. Police warn schools about the dangers of so-called sextortion when pupils are tricked into sharing intimate pictures and then blackmails. And for the first time, Premier League football clubs discuss a salary cap for their players.
And coming up on BBC News, we'll have the latest from the World Snooker Championship in Sheffield. Ronnie O'Sullivan needs 3 frames against Ryan Day to reach the quarterfinals at the Crucible.
He's a character and a half, man. It's fair to say a troubled soul, but a character and a half.
Good afternoon, and we start with dramatic political developments in Edinburgh, where in the last hour, Scotland's First Minister Humza Yousaf has...
Dramatic!
Their one MSP north of the border, that person being Ash Regan. There was some discussion over the weekend with Alex Salmond. He was on Sky News saying that he was open to discussions with Mr Yousaf, but there is no secret that a source close to Humza Yousaf told me this morning around 7 o'clock that was not going to happen. It would essentially be doing a deal with the devil, and it was a red line for Humza Yousaf. So there we had the drafting of a resignation speech, a speech which he admitted himself he had miscalculated the
mental, right? See the people that are
and he got tearful.
Cheering.
He said that this had been the biggest honour
a lot of the people that are cheering
this job,
his resignation are the same people that champion the causes that he dropped, if that makes sense. He dropped green commitments and he backed up or stopped or was in support of the stopping of puberty blockers to young kids.
Yes, it is a major moment.
And who are the runners and riders
of potential
Shows
successors.
you the fickle world of politics.
Well, the word on everyone's lips here in Edinburgh is John Swinney, the long-time Deputy First Minister.
Like yesterday, I was winding up with two Celtic boys, right?
Humza Yousaf and Nicola Sturgeon, seen
I was
as
winding
a
them up,
safe
man.
pair
No
of
doubt
hands
about
to
it.
steer the SNP through this
The young dude
latest crisis,
that was
through
there
this
for the
latest
start of the game.
bump in the road. How will he
When the
to this
teams
news
get
today?
announced
Will
tonight,
he
it's like
see it
Forest,
as
he's
his
on for the
duty
start.
to
And
step up
I'll be honest,
and
I don't really
command
pay
the
attention to the
authority
Celtic
of
team
the
as
party?
much as
He's
I
due
do
to
the
speak
Rangers team.
in the
So the
next few
players
minutes,
that
and
come
we'll
in
bring
and
that
out.
to you here on
Right,
Sky News.
okay.
But some of the other
But anyway,
names,
he was talking
if
about
it's not
Forest being in for the
coronation
start.
of John Swinney, some of the other names in the
So
mix,
I think the Celtic fans,
could be
he's
Stephen
not
Flynn. The
the
unfortunate thing for
biggest
him
favourite
is
of the
he's in
Celtic
wrong
fans for
parliament.
some reason. I
However,
do not know
that
why.
is not out with
And
the
he comes
realm
on and
of
gets a double,
possibility.
and I'm turning
The
around and
other
I'm like,
potential
"Hey
name
boy,
in the mix
you're
is
fucking
Kate
sacked,
Forbes,
man."
the one-time SNP leadership candidate. Let's remember she
Well,
got
at the same
almost
time,
50%
the old boy
of the
that came in
vote last
afterwards
year,
with
so
his
she has
missus
significant support,
was sitting slagging
albeit
off
a
Forest,
silent
right? And his
majority
missus is like,
within the
I love him,
SNP
I'm
could
a you
back her.
head.
Will she feel
And
that
then he
this
scores
is
another
her
goal.
moment? Will she feel that
Wound
this
him
is the
up
time to
fucking
seize
even more
control
as
of a
well.
party engulfed
He was
in
an
yet
old bitter
more
bastard, man.
chaos and
He knew I was a
crisis?
hun. And
We'll see what she has to say, and
when
there
the
are
other
some other
Celtic
junior
boy was
ministers
trying
in
to
the mix
talk
too.
over
The
my
full
head as
list
if like
of which
fucking
you can
I
read on
didn't
the Sky
know
News
about
website.
football, you know.
Connor, thanks very much. Really good to talk
Great
to you. Right, let's
fun,
bring
man.
in the leader of the Scottish Conservatives,
Great
Douglas
fun.
Ross, who joins
And
me
he
now.
looked like that fucking
in the last
balding
half an hour or so,
fucking.
last hour or so,
I'm
you've
not
claimed
even
it as a
joking. He's
victory.
double.
You've said on your
Can't
Twitter
remember
feed,
his
we saw
name.
off
No
Nicola
Jeremy
Sturgeon and now
Clarkson, but
Humza Yousaf.
remember
Now
the
we vote to
boy
remove
that
this
done the
entire rotten SNP government from office.
car stuff
Do you
with
think
Jeremy
this is
Clarkson way
especially
back in the day?
helpful to the dialogue and to the Scottish people going forward?
Well, I think it is very clear that
Baldy,
Humza Yousaf
like
did not want
Baldwin,
to resign
slick
as First
black
Minister. He
hair.
told us on Thursday it was strong leadership.
He still
that moved
does stuff. I
Greens
think he
from
went to
office.
fifth
He said
year
over the weekend he
when
would
Channel
continue,
5 first got
but
launched.
only because the Scottish Conservatives brought
Pretty
forward
sure
a
people
motion of
might
no
know his name.
confidence
Anyway.
in him that united the opposition.
Oh my God,
parties.
it's
He
the
knew as
weasel.
Speaker, it was on a knife edge, and he decided
Do you know
to jump
when he
before
was
pushed
born, he
because
came
of
out his
pressure
nose
that we
fanny,
had put on
nose
as the main
first,
opposition party in Holyrood.
and they grabbed
But
the.
it's about the tone, isn't it?
They were
What is
struggling to get him
helpful
out,
to the
so
Scottish
the
government and
doctors
the
had to
Scottish
grab
people
him with
right now. I
the
spoke to his
tweezers,
former
the
First
tweezer
Minister Henry
fucking
McLeish a
things.
short while ago, and he said
And he
his
couldn't
message
get it round
to
his head
the current
because
opposition
he
leaders
looks like a
like
weasel
yourselves and
and he was
Labour
coming
is
out nose
you
first.
need to show
So they had to
humility.
grab him by his
All the
fucking
parties
tip
need to
his
put
nose
Scotland first
and
and their individual
that's why he looks like
positions
he came out his
second.
nose fanny.
Are you willing to
nose
do
first.
that for the people of Scotland?
Yes, I'm putting Scotland first by seeking to replace this tired feeling.
Put Scotland first? You get that off of Donald Trump, you prick?
Nationalist government who have prioritised independence above everything else. We heard it even in Humza Yousaf's resignation speech about separating Scotland from the rest of the UK. I want to see
Richard
focus on the real
Hammond.
priorities that people have,
Buddy.
like growing our economy, prioritising public services,
acting as if
creating
I've
good
not got
jobs
the
in Scotland. All of that has taken the
internet
back
here.
foot. Has been on the back
Fifth
foot
year.
because Humza Yousaf and other SNP leaders have been focused on independence.
Do you have any confidence that a new SNP leader will change any of that?
Well, the SNP are elected to separate Scotland from the rest of the UK. That is their raison d'etre. And from all of the names we've heard so far, be it John Swinney, someone who was closely associated with Alex Salmond, Nicola Sturgeon and Humza Yousaf, or Kate Forbes or Stephen Flynn, they are all nationalists. They want to divide our country all over again. So our focus as Scottish Conservatives, having seen off this First Minister...
Oh, there he's there!
is
That
to see
dude in the
off this
middle.
Entire SNP government who have failed and let down the people of Scotland.
But there may be, you know, for example, if Kate Forbes were to succeed Humza Yousaf, there may be some within that list that you would perhaps feel more inclined
Let's see.
to work alongside on certain policies.
Quentin Wilson.
Still a nationalist.
Right, I
Kate Forbes
swear
still
to
believes in
God.
Scottish independence
The old bitter
above
Celtic
everything
dude in the
else.
boozer
Indeed, in the
last night
leadership election just over a year ago,
looked
her
exactly
plan for
like
another
him.
Independence referendum. It was
And he
as
wind him up
extreme
even
as Humza
further.
Yousaf.
I was
So
kind
she
of
will,
poor flirting
as
with his
all
missus and
SNP
all that, man,
candidate,
because
for leader
she
of their
liked
party.
Forrest as well.
It will be prioritising independence above the issues that really matter.
I was out the boozer as soon as my interest in the Celtic game was off, man. Like,
as Justice Secretary, and he's lit the country down.
Anyway, sorry, let's get back to
in all of these briefs, the people of Scotland have been failed by an entire nationalist government.
Why are all these political fucking assholes look like weasels and can't speak through their nose?
2 years in order to help the people of Scotland?
Well, we have to see one who's elected leader of the SNP, and if they can command a majority for the...
Fuck off. Sorry, man, my patience with talking heads is very hard nowadays, man. In fact, I have no patience with talking heads. Most of it's like, say something that actually means something, rather than just, yes, well, up a bit, down a bit, left, right, well, a meaningless drivel. Resistance, brutality, many rockets broke through Israelis' Iron Dome. Oh, this is them swinging their dick about how good their shit is.
It definitely caused a lot of fear among those settlers that still remain in the further areas of
War porn. So lovely. There's some more war porn.
Maybe some special equipment to remove, as you said earlier, the unexploded
even RT's got the Humza Yousaf
within
stuff down the bottom.
debris. And this would be, imagine that this would be explosive material that can be exploded anytime.
That's the
when
genocide
the
in
Palestinians try
Gaza.
to remove this debris.
Hold on, this looks pretty cool. Is that Putin? No, is that Putin? It's the Irish.
Secretary of State, the Irish government has accused you of exporting the problem. So will you not
give it to the fucking leprechauns? Let them deal with the brown man.
Will you take back those asylum seekers who have come from Northern Ireland into the Republic? Will you take
and then Tommy Robinson and all these merry band of Muppets are all complaining like, look, it's happening in Ireland too. Well, aye. Get the good brown people on boats and fucking divert them right around to the Irish Sea. Boom. Go to Leprechaun Land. Don't you know there's gold at the end of those fucking rainbows, man? Go to Ireland.
Since we left the European Union, that you can deal with the European Union as a whole entity.
Oh man, it's too easy to fuck the cunts, man. It is really too easy to line people up.
On that basis, and we obviously are working with our European partners, because this is a shared
I'm Scottish as well, but I grew up in London.
Criminal gangs.
That's why I'm not as mad as your average Scot.
Exporting people, human trafficking people.
Well, you know that Scottish head, man.
Into the United Kingdom, into Ireland. And we want to work together. Later today, I believe there's a debate between the lead candidates for the European elections from all the European political parties.
Well.
And I fully expect...
Is Rwanda working?
And indeed, a
partnership we've got them all fucking off the island.
The solutions suggested by some of those political parties. But we will work with everybody and anybody to try and solve this problem.
Really? Independent journalism. Independent journalism. We don't follow the news agenda. We set it. It's just a coincidence that they're all talking about the same shit constantly. Absolute complete.
Very constructive meetings.
Top of the morning, Paddy.
Secretary of State Cleverly and Minister McEntee
fucking let the leprechaun deal with the brown man, man.
Unfortunately, the meeting was postponed, but they'll pick the
only in Scotland can you say man.
Mutual arrangements between.
Let them deal with the brown man.
Of migration. And the migration, as I said earlier, it's multifactorial. The reasons why people are migrating. I'm very clear from my visit even to the Middle East again last week that. The level of conflict in the world today, the level of famine, is driving the migration
crisis. Man, and must be off my not. I'm seeing fucking
many
bunnies
jurisdictions, many
and things that call themselves news shows.
Crisis, given the sheer scale of it.
Genuinely seeing furry animals
the root causes of migration,
on news shows or things that
in terms of development cooperation.
Tend to be news shows and fucking hell hen, man.
GB News. Okay,
I'd still bump you.
The big diplomatic row between the Republic of Ireland
face has been
and the
so
United
tightly
Kingdom
pulled
about
back.
whether or not we are going to take back illegal immigrants from the Republic of Ireland.
Just now?
So you heard first on it from that delegate from the Republic of Ireland there saying, well, what they're going to do is change their law. So they are going to designate the United Kingdom again as a safe country to return these people. Well, I bet they wish they hadn't been so high and mighty in the first place. However, Chris Heaton Harris hit back and said, well, hang on a minute. No, we can't just do that because the European Union, the Republic of Ireland themselves have always been very clear that if you want to deal with the issue of illegal immigration with a nation state, you have to deal with the European Union as a whole. So what I read from that is that was a firm no. As it currently stands, we are not going to be taking back illegal migrants from the Republic of Ireland.
Yes, he made it very clear, didn't he, that the United Kingdom
Who might he
must
dare
only
to
work with the
suggest
European
that your
Union
average
as a whole.
Irish
There
cunt
are
is
such
stupid
deals.
as fuck,
It's
right?
their rules.
I'd
It's
never
their
suggest
rules.
that
Of course,
fucking
our
for a
representative
potty
there, the
picking
government
moment.
representative
Never,
in
ever,
the United
ever, right?
Kingdom, he was talking to the British audience, wasn't he? Talking about how the
But
deterrent
your
is
average
already
Irishman
working in the
is.
form of the Rwanda
I
plan, and when the
would, some would
flights
dare
go off
suggest.
eventually,
I
when
would
they
never
go
dare
off,
suggest that your average
that will make
Irish
the deterrent
totty
even
picking muncher
so there you
is
go.
more easily manipulated than your average Brit.
Tim Loughton. Tim, thank you very much for sitting on
And
the
they're
line for a
getting
bit there.
provoked
We're desperate to try to get that
for the
point
same
of information
reasons.
for our viewers and listeners, which is, are we going
Also, as well,
it
it will make them call for
My understanding of that at the moment was no, Tim, which I think most
right
people
now there's no border. There's no border
Absolutely
checks
right.
between
And
the
this
north and
is
south in Ireland.
clearly double
And a lot of the
We have
fallout
been
for
trying
Brexit.
to negotiate with France
Solid
for
border, is that the word
ages
I'm looking for?
about stopping and
long story
potentially
short, man,
taking back
basically
people coming across the
securing,
channel. And what France should
militarising
be
the
doing
border
is actually
between
arresting
Britain
those
and
people,
Ireland, the
and
north and the
detaining them
south.
rather than letting them come back
Which-
the following night to get in the dinghy to
Been there,
to come across.
done that,
We are always
and
told by the French
we've got
this is an EU-wide
thousands of
matter,
dead bodies
and you'll have to discuss
for our
it
troubles.
with everybody.
And cunts are
When it
wanting
comes
to
to
move back
Ireland,
towards that shit.
all of a sudden Ireland's got a problem because
You hype
people
up the
now
fucking
are
this
getting
shit
worried about the prospect
that's
of going
getting
to
used.
Rwanda. This
Brown
scheme
people
is
in
going
boats
to
in
be a
Ireland.
deterrent. These are
It's
early
now getting
signs
used
of
as
it.
like, oh, they're
And so
it's because
they
of what
come up with
Britain's
this
doing,
wheeze
they're
of
jumping
going
to Ireland,
into,
so Ireland
going
will
to
then now
Ireland.
be like, right,
Well,
Britain are
reap
sending
what
them to
you sow.
Rwanda, we're going to
So
send
they've
them
got to play by the rules. We've been
some
expected
other
to
fucking
play by the
shithole
rules. And now Ireland is
at the
saying,
end of the
we can
rainbow.
change the law to designate the UK as a safe country, having told us we're not. Well, apparently, we're not allowed to change the law here to designate Rwanda as a safe country as we did in the Rwanda treaty, but they can. I mean, this is gross double standards, and absolutely the government must have none of this nonsense.
It does feel that way, but also on a bigger scale, we're hearing that the biggest group in the European Union is looking at Rwanda-style schemes. They're very much considering it. Are we seeing that actually...
What a world we're moving into, man. I love it. Love it, man. Hundreds of countries are thinking about schemes to send fucking brown people on boat back to, not even back to their own shitholes, to just our designated shitholes in the middle of nowhere. I definitely need to go and check out the shit I heard about if the people we sent to Rwanda could end up in an island. I don't know if it was a joke or something. I definitely need to check that out. But other places are open for negotiation. So if you do find an island somewhere, let's call it the Falklands. Why don't we just send all the brown motherfuckers and boats to the Falklands? You can keep the there's penguins in the Falklands, isn't there? Is it puffins or penguins? Shit, I'm showing my naivete. But send them all to the fucking Falklands, and we'll castrate them, right? We'll castrate them, and every couple of months we'll send a few white folk in to breed with a woman. And then in a couple of generations, boom shakalaka, you have good British Christian folk. In the meantime, all the brown people on boats will just generally die out, and then in a good few generations, we'll only let the white motherfuckers breed. Anybody that comes out the most fanny fucking black, well, neutered straight away. Only the white will survive, and then we'll just keep interbreeding them all on this little island called the Falklands. Protect it against Argentina aggression, and cement that British territory for the future. Thus, and at the same time, taking out the brown people in boats. Win, 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 win. I can't see the downside.
Well, lo and behold, their own people don't like the rapid rate of illegal immigration taking place in their country. They've got the begging bowl out, okay? And the European...
A begging bowl, you wee slimy fuck. Elizabeth Shackelford. Let's unmute this. This will be
Defence, with these issues conclusively identified and yet not addressed for 2 decades now.
The US government says its goals in Somalia are to eliminate al-Shabaab and promote peace and reconciliation, but its policies are having the opposite effect.
Somalia.
Take a look at the 22% increase in Somalia fatalities in 2023, reaching a record high of more than 7,000 deaths. It seems highly unlikely that continued US training operations and counter-terrorism spending in Somalia will serve to produce anything but the continuation of conflict and unrest in Somalia.
I'm looking for my Wesley Clark thumbnail.
That continue to mount from the US military's secret air war in Somalia without providing justice or reparations for the victims of potential violations of international humanitarian law.
The undersigned Somali and International Human Rights and Protection of Civilians organizations write to request that you take immediate steps to address the requests of families whose loved ones were killed or injured by US airstrikes in Somalia. New reporting illustrates how in multiple cases of civilian harm in Somalia confirmed by the US government, civilian victims, survivors and their families have yet to receive answers, acknowledgement and amends despite their sustained efforts to reach authorities over several years.
Americans have been intervening in the region for decades under the pretext of helping, but given the outcomes, one can ask,
Somalia's
has
on the
it
list?
actually worked?
I'm shocked.
The Russian envoy for the Middle East and Africa has held a meeting with the head of the Sudanese Sovereign Council to discuss bilateral relations. That's as the Sudanese foreign minister showed his gratitude for Russian assistance.
The talks focused on the importance of joint cooperation in all fields of political, economic, cultural and military spheres. The Sudanese leadership appreciates the Russian assistance to Sudan and its support for legitimacy in
authorities to try and regularize their position in France because they didn't want to risk.
Why is there a bunny there, man? I thought that was just like an outset. What the fuck?
It's okay, won't grab it. Presumably you believe that it is the right.
Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch.
I thought you guys were talking about Joe Biden's
watered down piss.
Okay,
we lost interest in that.
Did he get eaten?
How many of your uncles have been eaten?
No, okay. What, by foxes? Look, the fox problem is a serious problem and it's one that we need to deal with.
But not by fox hunting.
What, Mr.
If
Fox?
you have to.
Oh, okay.
So
I live in southwest London. It is a big problem where I live.
What, fox hunting?
No, fox.
I had a friend who managed to persuade the German version of Eurotrash that he was an
I'm
fox
still
hunter, that he went around with rollerblades and a
gobsmacked
javelin.
as to how
And they actually
fucks
filmed
like
him,
this
but what he said was
have
the problem.
managed
He
to
said,
project
"If you ever tried to throw a
themselves
javelin on
as some
rollerblades,"
sort of a
which I haven't,
representation
it really is
of
quite
your
difficult when almost
average
spearing
man.
Yeah, no, but
The working class, if you want to call it that.
I think what happened to you and
I
what
mean,
happens to
look
everybody
at that fucking cunt,
it's
right?
very violent and it's very quick as a kind of you're like that you kind of put out as a like don't
Like,
do this.
seriously,
This is what's going to happen.
do you resonate
And I
with
think
him?
What we've seen because of that is a rise.
Do you resonate with him?
Of
Do you resonate with fucking cat lady there?
The most dangerous. Where we feel
There's only
scared.
one
I feel so sorry for her, or this old fucking pompous twat.
I mean, my response to it was to refuse to be
His face rings a bell.
To refuse to be cancelled.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do. Courage is the most important virtue. All other virtues are useless without it.
I think, come on,
Come on, he's running away at the thought. He's a coward. Cowardly rabbit.
I maintain, what Grabbit, that we live in a society where what you say is more important than what you do, and I think that's a great shame.
Man, look how fat that cunt's fucking getting.
Yeah, absolutely. You're
He's
good
going to
for
be
nothing
Mike
as well.
Graham-esque in fucking 5 years'
What we've been
time.
hoping is that you can have a bit of a go at
Then
David. Come on. What have you got to
pigs
say to
at the
me?
fucking trough,
What is there that has
through the
already been
power
said?
of media
Joe
and
Biden's uncle
marketing
was
and
not eaten by
PR,
cannibals. It's a
somehow
racist
managed
myth.
to fucking present themselves
so is
as
the whole cancel culture
talking
thing
for
anyway.
the
It doesn't
working man.
exist.
So do we
Talk TV wouldn't
do we think
exist
Joe
without
Biden's
Talk
being
Sport
racist towards
here in the
people
UK.
that-
Very, very integrally
New
linked.
Zealand, and he said that literally not a couple of 100 years ago there was cannibalism.
God, look at
Oh,
her face.
it's the people of Papua New Guinea. Hey! What have they said? Well, I don't speak Papua New Guinea. I thought, isn't it Papua New Guinea where they all used to eat their dead relatives?
It's something
and
like
they ate their brains and got that Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease.
It's how we got the Order of Lenin.
Yeah. But no, so if you read the after
Did account of the brain rot.
Yeah. I think it was in one of the American newspapers. They actually bothered to read the after
They
action
eat their
report.
relatives,
Engine failure.
Papua New Guinea, black cunts
so
are
Biden-
fucking
Biden-
cannibals.
Biden
Even
on the
Biden
other
told
side.
us that we're cannibals.
Anyway, we've all seen the film Alive.
You must destroy the mad brutes. Enlist in the army now.
How did Joe Biden come up with the whole
Enlist
storyline?
Rupert Murdoch. Fucking wants you.
Oh,
The fuck is Rupert Murdoch?
Right.
Rupert
Now
Murdoch.
he's got a bit.
And he's fucking old man, hipster, fat cunt, Irish prick, leprechaun again. These leprechaun bastards are everywhere. Oh, but look how fucking bad her face is, man. And then she's going to stand up there and try, and people are going to take her advice on anything. Sorry, hen, you've ruined your face. Ruined your face. That isn't one procedure. That is multiple surgeries, and no cunt has told you, or you're just not listening. You look ridiculous. You don't look younger. You look fucking absurd.
In Papua New Guinea. Is it true or is it false?
It is true.
It's absolutely true.
I nailed it. Joe Biden fucking ring. Is this live?
That was the woke.
That was the woke that was. And people think woke is a real thing and not just like a fucking meme. Tory tornado. Oh wow. How do you sex up fuck all?
Branches because they can then find it easy to attract foreign talent. We need really a cull of a lot of the
Party rebels, Pantyhose, Sunak, and PoliTITS. Good, because I've got money on Badge and fucking Bobo Johnston. I shit you not.
Precisely, they can come in. They're allowed to work up to 20 hours a week. So a lot of them obviously.
Right, remember, this is like 99.9999999% opinion, conjecture, theories, and whatever's left is maybe some worthwhile news. Same with GB News, and these two channels will happily point out that RT does the same shit, Press TV does the same shit. The American outlets are fucking shameless in their bullcrap. Al Jazeera does the same shit. There is no truth in media. And getting it from the internet doesn't make it different from getting it from the TV. And getting it from a talking head on the internet doesn't make it any different from getting it from the TV if your talking head on the internet that you're getting it from is getting it from a TV. Does that make any sense? I hope it does. Anyway, let's listen to the BBC's.
Announced that he is resigning. He's been under
back there's John Swinney.
Oh,
he used to have hair.
Power sharing deal.
Right, I'm going to argue he might.
The Scottish government,
no doubt, the new leader to be will want as much face time in the media as possible to get him known amongst the public.
Without a majority in Parliament, you can't pass a law without a
see, he's solid, but he's got no charisma.
Really important
he's got no panache.
We work with other political parties to make sure that we are in a position to govern effectively.
It's a crying shame. I don't know why these women are doing it, mate. You're saying how many women are turning their faces to shit. It's an industry, innit? It's the fuck up women's faces industrial complex. And people propagate that people.
But the Parliament was elected.
I honestly haven't seen a woman where I'm like, oh, you know that plastic surgery you got? That's done you well. I just see it like, what have you done to yourself then? One eyebrow up here, one down there, weird lines on their face, round their lips and all that. Fucking the trout pout is the famous one. And it's ridiculous.
I've always believed that
really
the right place for the
ridiculous.
Scottish National Party is as a moderate left of centre political party in the mainstream tradition of Scottish public opinion. You only ever win success if you're in line with the mainstream of public opinion in the country, and that's where I've always endeavoured.
Did he just admit that the SNP and his PoliTITS is all aimed at just pleasing people?
To make sure the SNP was positioned, and I think that's where the SNP should be positioned in the future. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, very interesting press conference there from John Swinney, former deputy leader of the SNP, who does not appear to be ruling himself out, very much appears to be giving it consideration. Let's bring in our Scotland correspondent, Conor Gillis, who's in Edinburgh.
The completely obvious man who's going to run or be the next leader, because
has to do the right thing by his
there'll be a media war in the next coming days. because that's how you need to raise your profile, as they would call it.
To be the next leader of the SNP. He certainly didn't rule that out, and he said he would be having those conversations with his family in the coming hours and the coming days. I think if he does declare that he will run in this race, it will be hard for any other candidate to make headway in that process. John Swinney is seen as a very respectable character within the SNP. He is an elder statesman. He is a man of integrity, as a lot of people within that party would see. And ultimately, very many sources within the party are suggesting that he is the very man that needs to take control of this crisis and get the party back on track in this key election year. So that is interesting, because this time last year, when his very good friend, very close ally Nicola Sturgeon stood down from her premiership as Scotland's First Minister in this building, I had conversations with John Swinney, and he couldn't have been clearer. He gave it a few hours consideration, because again those calls came in asking him to do so, and he decided at that time it wasn't the right moment. So this is a shift in position 1 year on for John Swinney, who now says he's very, very actively considering this. Where does that leave other candidates, potentially like Kate Forbes and Neil Gray, the current Health Secretary here in Scotland? Will they have been fancying their chances to step in to pick up the pieces of the problems that Humza Yousaf has left behind for the party?
The shit show that he's
Again,
left, man.
What I said a minute ago, I think it will be very, very difficult for anyone else to step into the picture if he does decide to do that.
OK, Conor, thanks very much. Let's return to
Well,
Alistair
there you
Carmichael,
have it,
former
folks.
Deputy
Read
Leader of
between the
Scottish
lines.
Liberal
John
Democrats, who's
Swinney.
kindly stayed with us.
The next-
What do you make of what John Swinney's just said? If the SNP
I'm
has
gonna
him as a
check the
leader,
fucking bookies.
somebody he says he thinks he is more moderate, a left-of-centre political leader, will they stand more hope in the polls? Possibly good news for the SNP, possibly not such good news for the Lib Dems.
Well, look, I'll be astonished if he's not a candidate now, having heard that the press conference from him there. Let's not forget, of course, that John Swinney was a leader of the SNP before, and he ended up having to resign because he couldn't hold the operation together at that stage. I think if you were looking for somebody who could do for the SNP today what Michael Howard did for the Conservatives 20 years ago, that is to say, keep the whole
Get
party
their advocacies out, make sure they
together,
fucking make money.
get it through to an election which they are then going to lose, then yes, probably John Swinney is the best placed candidate for that. But there is one significant difference here. 20 years ago, the Conservatives were in opposition.
Man.
Today, the SNP in Scotland are in government, and we need somebody who can do more than just keep things ticking over for the next couple of years. So yes, for the SNP, John Swinney may well indeed be the best possible option, but I'm afraid for the people of Scotland, it just looks more like a continuation of the same problems that we're facing at the moment.
A bigger gamble than
He did also make it very clear in that statement, didn't he, that the Scottish Parliament's elected for 5 years, it should stay for 5 years.
He's a
The
traditional
SNP
gambler,
certainly
you know.
don't want to give up the reins, do they?
Oh, they're absolutely not. You know, they love being in power,
Whereas,
and indeed they dictate the political agenda as a consequence. But ultimately, they will have to be accountable for the decisions that they've made now and that they've made since they came to power in 2000.
I guess it's after the Rangers game, man, so I'm a
Their
good few
legacy
jars in.
is far
And
from
I'm like,
impressive
fucking,
in the things that really make a difference to everybody's
general
life day
volume
to day
control goes
in
up a wee bit.
Scotland. That's what they will be judged on, and I can well see why they would want to put that judgment off. But it
Well,
will
good
eventually
crack, man.
come
Well,
what may.
good crack.
Do you think that this could possibly lead to one positive in Scottish politics? Talking a little earlier, about an hour or so ago, to Hamish McLeish, the former Labour First Minister of Scotland. And
Scottish politics, you get Scottish people talking about it. English politics, British politics, you still get the majority of Scottish people talking about it, man. You rule the fucking world.
An election. What hope do you think there is of the opposition party saying, well, look, we have 2 years, let's all try and work together on some policies that do improve the lot of the people of Scotland?
For 8 years, my party was in government with the Labour Party, and we did exactly exactly that. The difficulty is that when it comes to this SNP government and the SNP Green coalition that we've just seen the end of, we had a very different agenda. It was always independent first, last and always. If that continues to be the case with John Swinney or anybody else in Butte
Mate,
House,
it's great to get
then
rid of all these fucking
how you
clowns, right?
achieve
There's no doubt about it. But who the fuck's going to replace them? Just the next fucking clown.
For actually ending the centralisation of public services,
it's
which
great,
has been
but
ruinous for
oh my god, that
like
guy
mine
definitely
outside
looks like a pair
central
of tights
belts
that
of
you've grew
Scotland.
cress
If
in,
we
didn't
actually
he?
want to focus on tackling education and entertainment and ending the scandalously high number of drug deaths.
I'm pretty sure I grew you, mate,
then
when I
of
was
course
in
they will have
primary
a
school.
radio audience, because
Out
that's
a pair
where
of my
the
old
true
Moz
interests
tights.
of Scotland lies. But we're in this place because of their obsession with independence. If that doesn't change, nothing else is going to change.
OK, Alistair Carmichael, really good to talk to you. Thank you very much for joining us on Sky. Well, let's talk now to political journalist and independence campaigner Leslie Riddoch, who joins us. Good to talk to you, Leslie. We talked at length on the day that Humza Yousaf was elected. There was a certain amount of optimism, I think it's fair to say, on that day from you and other people about the possible future for the SNP and for Scotland. How do you reflect on that now?
Well, it is a shame, actually. I think a lot of people, even who didn't vote for Humza in that leadership contest, have sort of come round a bit. He's a different kind of leader. He was a different kind of leader than Nicola Sturgeon. He was more of a conciliator, a mediator. He wasn't so much of a kind of jazzy frontman. In a way, that may be where things have gone.
Right,
so
I do want to
badly
be fair, man, and
because,
say
the way the Butte House agreement
in the
was
grand scheme
ended
of
was
things,
not
she is
really
pretty
the
sexy.
kind of mediated
But
process.
I did want to be childish and like poke fun for a wee
just
bit of
before
fucking harmless humour.
The Greens were
I
kind
would
of handed
say
the filters, as it were.
she might have been at the
Patrick
same
Harvey, the
bar
co-leader of the Greens,
as
had pretty
Donald
much
Trump.
staked his own leadership on getting his party to back the agreement continuing. So I think that might partly explain why there was such a huge.
I would never do
pushback
such a
from the
thing. I'm
Scottish
saying
Greens,
that's what I
such
would
an
say
angry one in
if
the
I wanted to
initial
just have
aftermath.
harmless fun.
But I think a lot of people watching that
over a
statement
childish
think it very
joke.
dignified, very fair. He took it squarely in the chin. It was my mistake. He said a lot of strong things about the role of multiculturalism in Britain, actually, not just Scotland. And he broke down when he started speaking about his family. I mean, it was a very warm statement that will leave a lot of people feeling, well, what if? And that's a shame.
Do you think, fundamentally, listening to what you're saying, that he was just too nice a person?
Well,
too soft, perhaps, to be,
I think it was the fact his name was get propagated as useless. I knew him as useless before I actually learned his proper name.
Nations, is that all our parliaments are proportional. So you don't get whacking great majorities on minorities of the vote, which is the way with Westminster. It's winner takes all, first past the post.
Right, I hope people discussing this openly, talking about it and all that, and saying like they're discussing it as a positive thing because they have a different opinion to me. But a parliament that can't make fucking decisions without concessions to people who fucking don't have the majority is a fucking parliament without a dick. Might as well not have a parliament. And that is by design, in my opinion. What is the point of electing some cunt if you need them to pander to every freak in the circus? It makes no sense. And that's the way the Western parliaments work. By design, I would argue.
And we don't use that system. So what you always get, what the Scottish Parliament was created by the Labour and Lib Dems actually to do, was to be a consensual parliament where you had to get on and negotiate with other people. Now, that hasn't changed. And whatever anybody wants to say from a different parliament or a different party, the results of the last Scottish election still stand. The numbers are still the same. The SNP do not have a majority to work through things on their own. And so trying to work with the other pro-independence party, the Greens, made perfect sense. It's still going to probably be an issue for whoever comes next. Because if you want stability, you do just have to look at the reality of.
Yeah, the Green Party. You know, I love the Green Party because every cunt loves the Captain fucking Planet. So when did they start attaching fucking all the gender pish into the Green Party? Surely it should be the Green and Tranny Party then. or like whatever fucking political fucking watered down derivative of calling a spade, you can get away with nowadays. Because calling them the Green Party, it's like, why the fuck have they attached the fucking the tranny gender shit to it? It's almost as if like the tranny gender stuff is appropriated, wanting to save the planet to further their gender push.
The way the votes have been cast.
Just like Tommy Robinson's the only one saving us from
certainly hasn't said he's going to run, but he, very much didn't rule it out and is now going to be giving it serious thought. If he does throw his hat into the ring, do you think we will see others standing against him, given that the tone of the fight for the leadership last year, or do you think that it will be a fait accompli?
Well, it'll be very interesting because. When Kate Forbes came second, I have to say, I think I said at the time,
naked lady in her background?
A woman more relieved not to have won
it is.
This time last year. And,
BBC, man, that's the Sky News going against that censorship.
Process of going around all those hustings. I think now, though, she feels more up for it.
I think it's a couple of people shagging.
That she thinks
no, it's the person.
Time and her
definitely a naked
to
person.
brief
I can
on
see
her
a bum.
behalf as being the obvious candidate that could be strong enough to pull through a minority government and make it happen. She might also appeal, she's more socially conservative, more economically conservative, so she might manage to get some cross-party agreements with Labour and the Tories. So that's a possibility. John Swinney, obviously, safe pair of hands. He's been here before. He put through budgets from a minority position before. But that will be the thing. People might think this is a continuity phase, and there might be a moment where you just have to jump a generation.
See, I remember when he
There's
had
also
black
Stephen Flynn, who's impressed many in
No, he's went
Westminster
for
as
the
the SNP leader
Lex
there,
Luthor look.
wrong parliament. There is precedent for him being the leader of the SNP. Alex Salmond did it from Westminster, but that was when the SNP was not in power. So he cannot be First Minister unless he's in Holyrood. So that's the kind of predicament that the whole party is going to have to think through now. There's strengths in each of those candidates. But the one thing I'm pretty sure about is nobody would really be wanting a caretaker leader now, because we've got a general election this year, Scottish election due for 2026, which will happen whether there's suddenly an election this year or not. You don't want more chopping and changing, and there may be pressure to kind of keep the number of candidates to a minimum.
Do you feel, Leslie, that you are closer or further from independence than you were just over a year ago when Humza Yousaf was elected?
Probably a bit further, but to be honest with you, that doesn't make a lot of difference to me. I know everybody's... there seems to be a lot of expectation, shall we say, that the idea of independence for Scotland is kind of wee phase that a lot of us will go out of.
Problem. She's got fucking
That's just not going to happen. We're sitting, for example, in an energy-rich country with the worst fuel poverty in Europe, and that is because energy is not controlled in Scotland but by Westminster.
So the presenter can hear.
And anyone who's looked that fact in the face will simply not be wanting to try to go for anything except taking control. How we're going to do it, dear only knows. But, the problem that lies at the heart of the Scottish Parliament
Good stuff,
and the fact that
cross-party
working
any
is
plans,
difficult
any places?
is simply because we can't resolve this.
Are they going on the mantelpiece, or have we got a wee...
We're not even allowed to have a referendum in the world's most powerfully
place in
devolved
mind.
Parliament. So I think we still need to stand this up, get it sorted,
and
then people can move on, whichever way the vote goes.
I don't know if your mom had that.
Journalist and independence campaigner, clearly.
Please,
Leslie Riddick,
close to your
thank you for joining us.
And in front of the TV doesn't
Sky News
count.
today, coming up, all the developments following Humza Yousaf's decision to step down as First Minister.
Why do all politicians put their hand like this? I put it to you. I learned putting this my hand. Oh look, it's the UK Parliament. Oh my lord, they fucking lord. Hey, I can see her nipple. I don't want to see their nipples. Right, what the fuck is going on, man? What's going on? What's going on? What the fuck did that... Yeah, hold on a sec. Nah, it's definitely weed I'm smoking. There's no fucking any grade A hallucinogenic. I'm pretty sure I just watched fucking people pretend to be seagulls on Sky News. I'm pretty sure that just happened. Whew. When you just think your day couldn't get any fucking weirder. Got candles, gonna write some words for our nice one, my man. Canal freaks. Canal freaks. And remember, mate, if you find it hard to even just give up all the ashes, you can do half and half. You can spread some somewhere that was a lovely place for the Perrys. Go and do your speech and whatnot, light your candles and stuff. And then if you're finding hard to get rid of them in their entirety, you can keep the other bit in. Do what sound with you, mate. Do what feels best. Although, aye, fuck it. I recently knew somebody whose dog passed away, man, right? And it was like a 10 plus years dog, you know, like a real family dog, you know, like part of the family, definitely. And they've got a wee kinda, well, aye, like a shrine in the living room with the ashes and all that jazz. And it's great, it's beautiful, you know. And I'm no expert, sweet Fanny fucking Adams. I'm only fucking saying how I feel and how I would probably go about it myself. In fact, not to the same extent, but along the same lines. In the past, I've removed things from my constant coming across that just reminds me of fucking... It can take you from there to there, you know? And aye. For me, I removed those triggers from my daily life. Look, it wasn't forgetting about it or fuck all, or burying it or anything. It was just removing it from your fucking, your mantelpiece, your that piece, fucking your bedroom, you know, so it's no sort of constantly something that boom, 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 boom. But that's just where my head's at, man.
But most importantly, I believe it was the right decision for the country.
Because you're a politician and you're full of tits.
Working with the Greens in a less formal arrangement as the SNP moved into a new phase of minority government. Unfortunately, in ending the Butte House Agreement in the manner that I did, I clearly underestimated the level of hurt and upset that caused.
Blacklist, man, dogs become part of the family. They literally become part of the family, man.
And efficiently, trust when working with the opposition is clearly fundamental. And while a route through this week's motion of no confidence was absolutely possible, I am not willing to trade my values and principles or do deals with whomever simply for retaining power.
Shut up, that's what politics are all about, man.
Reflecting on what is best for my party, for the government, and for the country I lead.
Jumping before you were pushed,
I've concluded that repairing our relationship across the political divide can only be done with someone else at the helm. I have therefore informed the SNP's National Secretary of my intention to stand down as party leader and ask that she commences a leadership contest for my replacement as soon as possible. In order to ensure a smooth and orderly transition, it is my intention to continue as First Minister until my successor has been elected, particularly as the Parliament will be debating some incredibly important legislation in the coming days and the coming weeks. I cannot tell you what an honour it is being the First Minister of the country I love, the country I'm raising my family in, and the only country I will ever call home. As a young boy born and raised in Scotland, I could never have dreamt that one day I would have the privilege of leading my country. People who looked like me were not in positions of political influence.
Fuck's sake, you have to drag it back to the fucking race card. Mate, people that look like you aren't in positions of fucking politics because of fucking demographics, you fucking dick. You know, on one hand he's fucking talking about how great and unicorn and rainbow like Scotland is and how a great and open fucking country and accepting it as other people, and then the other violins out. Oh, brown men never were in politics because we didn't have fucking brown cunts. Fuck's sake, it's a simple numbers game.
Let alone leading governments when I was younger. But we now live in a UK that has a British Hindu Prime Minister, a Muslim Mayor of London, a black Welsh First Minister.
See, this is all more important than having people that can do the fucking job, or do a good job, or agree with the majority of the people. Because you need a brown man in, even though the brown men aren't the majority, but we need the brown man in because he's brown and we need to fucking show how diverse we are. Who gives a fuck if they can do the job? He's brown. And we need, is it Hindu the fucking Sunak is? That Romulan cunt? It's ridiculous, man. In fact, I'm not even going to get myself worked up about it, but it's so wrong. All this pish that they're spouting over this diversity, this strive for diversity. Whatever happened to about just getting the right man for the job in? You know, it's really no rocket science.
And for a little while longer, the Scots Asian First Minister of this country. So for those who decry that multiculturalism has failed across the UK, I would suggest that the evidence is quite to the contrary.
But yet, I need to bring out hate crimes and all that to protect the minorities, even though I'm just fucking pointing out the fact that fucking minorities, no matter how big a fucking turd they are, like turds, can float to the fucking top. Because do you want to know what? Shit floats. And it doesn't matter if it's a green shite, a brown shite, or... Man, we've all lived our life, haven't we, man? We've fucking had well weird colours of shites, man. For one toilet talk to another.
And that is something we should all celebrate.
Well, the former SNP leader John Swinney has been touted as a possible replacement. He spoke to the cameras a little earlier.
On,
he said he is giving active
repeat.
consideration to standing.
It just went on repeat.
For the government and for the country I lead, I've concluded that repairing our relationship.
Yep, it's on fucking repeat. Yep, businessmen talking about war. Yep, folks. Business people discussing the war. What does the war have to do with business people? What does the war have to do with economics? Am I naive? Oh, I'm very naive. There's some weather. Fuck. That cunt used to be fucking the BBC. Am I tripping? Isn't he a man? He's pure what?
The Urals, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, Cuba. I'm just naming islands, and there are...
You're just naming islands, cool? Cool. Morocco, it's not an island. Ireland. The island of Ireland. You know, this is my Ireland. The interrogation tapes. So in America, shit must be real. Palestine declassified. That sounds good. That's some clicks worth.
So
not historically, but as they are depicted in the flag of the Shah, basically it's designed to evoke this kind of racist ideology.
Ooh. Voice of the voiceless.
The rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without the objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Well, I don't think the U.S., whatever that is, and the reason I say that is because we have a government that's not acting in the interest of our nation.
The divestiture will not happen, right? The reason being that Chinese government will not allow ByteDance to divest.
People say New York's expensive.
But that's only if you don't know where to look.
We're all a bit tight on money in January, so here's parts 5 to 10 of some of our favourite affordable eats.
I think it's not just
Insects.
our livelihood. For people, it is a genuine career, and it...
Right, fuck, can't be asked for that shite. Well, she's kinda sexy in a school mistress type of way. Definitely take a grilling off of her. Right, well, I think I've done a fair... Oh, fuck. God almighty. See, the thing is, like, she is beautiful looking, but she's just fucked her face. And you get the fucking fat cunt sitting next to a rabbit, and this is news. News. People will watch that and go, I'm informed. Anyway, 1 meal a day living in a tent. Sounds good. Mental health focus of disability benefit overhaul. Global final kicks off. Pupils get rare alert over dangerous sextortion. Oh, fucking sex that up a billion. Bread and biscuit prices may rise due to wet weather. Climate change. There's Humza. Indeed his doohickey. And let's be clear. I announced he resigned before he announced he resigned. How did I do that? It's because I stay in Spaceballs? Or is it because you just listen to the news which tells you what's going to happen before it fucking happens because they know? Anywho, thanks for watching everybody. Sub up, bell up. I'm going to try and do these most Monday to Fridays. A wee bit of daily PoliTITS. Preferably a hell of a lot earlier than today. But hitting middays when like your PMQs happen and your press conference about old PoliTITS happens. So it will vary, but sub bell up and you'll get alerts for most of it. The poll, what the fuck did I ask again? Be honest off the top of your head. Can you name other members meant to be of the SNP? I can't. 22 people voted, 91% said they can't. Well, a rudderless ship. Big guy Lex Luthor, Sweeney. Looks like he'll step in. I can remember him being a talking head from the past. He's not really that charismatic, you know. So will it be him or will it be somebody else with a wee bit of nous about them, you know? Or will they just want him in to steady the ship? So I've ended the poll. 22 people voted, so thanks for bouncing in and tuning in. You all thumbs it up if you enjoy this kind of pish. And subscribe and all that jazz to the channel, and you'll get future shindigs. Thanks to Crossman and Chris for Saturday, man. That was a good. I enjoyed that. What the fuck is going on here? and enjoyed last Saturday's chat. So, sub to Crossman's channel, he puts it out on his as well, so you can get the you can get the bullshit double barreled if you want. Roberto, man, you have a nice day, my friends, with your candles and doing what you're going to do, mate. Take plenty of pictures and all that jazz. And I don't know. You don't know what to say. I'm happy to say celebrate life, don't mourn the death. And that's I'm happy with that. Unicorn, thank you, my man. Blacklist. Mate, it is meant to be amusing. You will get no fucking epiphanies here, man. There is no fucking guru to fucking save you and tell you the way the world is. It is about taking the piss, like laughing the shit. Sharing opinions. And not getting, trying not to get locked into social media bubbles where everybody just blows smoke up each other's arsehole and everybody's scared to have a different opinion in case they're out the gang, you know? Nothing to... Here, hold on, I'll need to show you, right? This is what I see. No, I can't see. Look at the message. Oh, in fact, I can see. Look at the messages. So I miss a bit. Nothing to say. God bless you. There we go. It's just I can't see it because of that stupid big heart that fucking YouTube puts there. But I enjoy your day, everybody. 2 bells, still a long time to go. I'm going to go and eat my steak pie. Have a nice afternoon. Get cheese. Kips clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell.